Hello and welcome to And That's Why We Drink, where we are so scary.
We were just talking about hot cocoa.
Yeah,
So
I know. We're like, what's your favorite almond? We're so scary.
this is a PSA to people. If you're looking for the world's best hot cocoa, I know I usually give Starbucks the shout out on my teas, but when it comes to the cocos, you gotta go to Coffee Bean because I've recently discovered that, and I'll never have another hot chocolate in my life. It's
And
so
I'm
good.
saying to Coffee Bean only exists in like that corner of the world, I think. Like at least on the West Coast, I'm pretty sure.
I think if I were to move back to the East Coast, I like Coffee Bean would now be one of the things that I like miss. Like right
Oh,
now, like when I now that I live out here, I miss Waffle House and I miss Wawa.
yeah.
And I think Coffee Bean would have to be my West. What do you miss while you're out there?
Like away from LA, I miss
Yeah.
poke, but I can't eat
Hmm.
that right now because I'm pregnant anyway. So I miss sushi in general.
Oh, you can't have
Um,
sushi when you're pregnant?
no raw fish. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Uh, yeah, that's like the big one.
Oh, good to
That and
know.
booze.
I knew about
uh,
booze. I knew about that one. Wait, so what about uh I would imagine, so I have this theory, and I think
yes.
maybe we could have people like, tweet out and
Is
let
this
us
a
know their
theory
opinions
about
too.
pregnancy? Because I can't wait to hear it.
No, I
Oh,
have
okay.
no theories about
I
that.
was
I
like,
am
wow, you're bold.
unqualified.
Wow.
I'm unqualified about that one. So I was going to say, I would imagine one of the things you miss is tacos because I have this belief that on the East Coast, there is really delicious Chinese food and really delicious Italian food, but
Mhm.
really shitty Mexican food. And then
Mm.
on the West Coast, there's really excellent Mexican food, but there's only shitty Italian and Chinese food. I have
Okay, you're
yet
probably offending a lot of people, but
in terms of like I've eaten at a lot of restaurants and I have yet to enjoy Italian or Chinese food like I did on the East Coast and then vice versa for
yeah,
Mexican
like
food.
same different like levels of yeah, I get that. I do miss tacos. I mean, if I were somewhere like Texas or California, the tacos are just it's next level stuff, man. I don't have that here, but I do have my runny skyline chili, so like who am I to complain?
Look, you've got right middle of the road, you got your runny chili
Got
on
some
your
White
spaghetti.
Castle, like don't even worry about it.
Ooh, I've only had White Castle once, but it was pretty delicious. Same with
Well, when you
Whataburger.
come, we're going to eat it. But while we're speaking of these things, are we going to talk about our baby moon?
We can, yes, we can if you'd like. I'm going to leave that up to you because you will be the pregnant one, and I don't know
Okay,
if
let's talk about
people
it and
might find us.
we'll just say like who knows, but
Okay,
we
okay.
opened our gifts as we mentioned last week, and we did that for Patreon because they gave us our creepy codes, which are great. And we put a
Mm-hmm,
picture on
mm-hmm.
Instagram if you want to see them.
Yes, they're
And
amazing.
they're so cute. But so we opened each other's gifts, and of course, like we had M had texted me like a couple weeks prior and said like, "What are you doing on this specific weekend in September?" And I was like, I'm hanging out with you that weekend because I already made plans for us that weekend, and we had both got each other the same gift, as which tends to happen, and we bought each other, or not bought each other, but we prepared to gift each other, I guess, the gift of our presence at the Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, West
I know it.
Virginia. And there have been some rumors going around of people saying, "Are Emma and Christine going to be there actually?" And the plan is yes. It's only 2 hours from my house. I will be extremely pregnant, like
Like
really, really far along.
out of sight pregnant. That's why I texted Christine and asked, like, I know you're gonna be like for sure nesting and unable to leave your home, but what do you think about traipsing an entire property full of Mothman memorabilia with me?
I'm honestly like, I want to go so bad. Like, my plan right now is 100% we're going, 110% we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a drive from my house. So M's plan is to feed me like jalapenos until I
Yeah.
go into labor at the Mothman Festival, which like not a terrible idea. That'd be a fun story to tell
I
someday.
would be really upset. The baby and I are gonna start on really bad terms if they don't let the water break at a Mothman festival because it has to happen. It's I don't make the rules here. It's just it's God's will, you
It's
know.
God's will, and God's will we shall abide by. So that's the plan, is to go to the Mothman Festival. If y'all are going, I'm really excited. We already both have our Mothman t-shirts ready. I'm again going to be extremely pregnant, so don't worry if I can't make it. I will we just won't. end up going, I guess. But like if I go into labor early or something, obviously it won't work out. But my plan, if everything is going smoothly,
I'll be like, Christine, I've heard that people's first labor is always the longest. So I'm going to go to the Mothman Festival and I'll take pictures, and you keep pushing. You're doing great. I'll let you know how the festival's going.
You're going to say, I have a theory about pregnancy, actually. Let me say it to you.
No, we TBD, but like fingers crossed we will be there. But also I'm going to put out the caveat that like Christine will be super pregnant and probably very uncomfy. So like
if you be bitching the whole time.
If you do see us, please respect at least Christine's space.
No, say hi to me. Don't
say hi, but but just be aware that you are approaching someone who's going to be very physically uncomfortable. So just like be aware.
I think I'll be in a good mood. I don't know. I think I'll be excited. Yeah.
If she seems grumpy, it's either because she has a whole baby inside of her or because I did something stupid. One of the two.
Or both. Also this week, the baby's the size of a Mr. Potato Head, and which I guess is now just a potato head. Didn't they change the gendered like concept of it?
Maybe your baby wants to be considered a Mr. Potato Head, and that's okay too.
You never know.
You never know.
But that's the size of it this week. Oh, I just typed in Mr. Potato Head onto Google, and the first thing that comes up is canceled. Oh my!
Your baby is canceled, Christine.
We knew it would happen eventually.
No, I am very.
Comment was, what did you say?
I said, "Oh, maybe their butt will open up and a bunch of body parts will fall out."
Like that's horrifying. I don't think I want to picture that, but maybe. And can I say one more thing? Sorry, I have like a little list that I started making on my phone of mention on ATWWD because I just feel like we have so many things we always want to mention that we forget.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that so I'm back on YouTube now, and now I'm really excited because we're both on YouTube, and I feel like we're finally living out our like, early 2000s dreams of like being, on YouTube.
Oh, I don't know about that. You, I think, have higher aspirations to be on YouTube than I do. I'm just
so excited we both have a channel. It just makes me so happy.
I still don't really technically have an official channel. People have to search me to get to my page because my URL still does not work as the M Schultz.
Okay. Well, it's on there though. And people love sending me screen caps of The Sims and what's going on over there. Apparently M posted something in their story about how you tried to save my date and it was just a disaster.
It was going really well and then it went really not tragic. Great. You did have your first kiss though. So
oh my God, good for me.
I know. It was really intense. I realized I was in an awkward position as your wingman that also plays God in this because I was like, how weird am I allowed to make it?
Like I control the physical interaction here. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay, let's see. You'll make a move. And then we gave a little kiss, but then after that I was like, let's rein it in. Let's
slow it down. God, I was gonna say, I don't know what to call you. God is watching, and Father M is watching.
You had it looked like you were having a great time though. So you're welcome. Yeah. She wasn't, which is why I had to save the date.
Yeah, I saw that you were like, she's leaving, and I was like, no, come back.
But yeah, so great. We're both on YouTube. Christine's kissing androids.
I mean, listen, I think even if on your channel and my channel, I'm having the most fun on both of our channels, which is
I think so too. I'm truly there because I wanted to find something other than Instagram Live because my internet was such trash, and then it just turned into this. So
it just it escalated and devolved so quickly.
Bingo.
Well, I released my first type of video, which is like a first new because I always do my Creeps with Christine, which is just like reading creepy stories with music, and those are fun. So I did another one of those, and then I don't know if you saw this. I did like a get ready with me Q&A type thing, which I've never done before.
Get ready for what?
Like, have you seen those videos that are like, get ready with me? And it's just like, you put on your makeup and like chat.
Oh, that's nice. No, I've never watched one before. Oh,
and it was very like tongue in cheek because I don't know what I'm doing with makeup. And everyone was very nice to not, point out like, Christine, that's all wrong. But it was really fun. And I did like a little thing on close friends on Instagram and said like, what questions do you have? Because I don't want to, I'll talk about Mr. Potato Head, but like, I don't want to spend all day here talking about, pregnancy because that's not what this is about. But so I made like a video and it has all these, chats about the pregnancy, what's going on, how we're dealing with the name and the sex of the baby and all that.
Nice.
So it's fun time. So you can go to, I think it's X Teen Files or something. I don't know, but I'm just happy that we're both, living our Jenna Marvel's dreams.
Well, we're both living it. You're the one enjoying both of them probably the most. So
I will get your channel. Someday I will just propel your channel to such a point that you're like, you can't help. You have to just.
I'll be like, I think I am just a sim now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, until then, I'm gonna have you keep kissing girls.
Listen. I'm not gonna say no.
There you go.
You just play God, and I'll just sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are having a problem with the story, how it's going so far.
Certainly not.
All right. Did I have anything else to tell you? I don't think so.
Tell me a tale then.
Okay. This one is from Savannah. I
love Savannah.
I have never been to Savannah.
We should go. It's so beautiful and so scary, like creepy.
Well, it's like, isn't it rated? I think this and like Charleston are like always tied for either the most haunted place in the country and also the prettiest place in the country.
Yes.
So there you have that.
Like, I think it's one of the most haunted, if not the most haunted city in the US. So creepy and so pretty. Weeping willows.
You have it. I've also that's also where the Moon River Brewing Company is, which I covered during a live show once.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know if I actually did the whole episode on air yet though, but I have the notes. So this is what I thought was called the Sorrel-Weed House, and it's actually the Sorrel-Weed House.
Oh,
Zach Bagans,
the Menger Hotel.
Yeah, Zach Bagans taught me something finally. So
what?
Because he kept calling it the Sorrel-Weed House, and I was like, what a dumbass. And then I was like, he's saying it pretty confidently in front of all of these employees.
He also has researchers, so I feel like maybe.
Yeah. And then also I started watching other videos and hearing other people say Sorrel, and I was like, oh, it was just me the whole time. Okay. So anyway, this is the Sorrel-Weed House in Savannah, Georgia. It's 15,000 square feet.
15 square feet.
It fits in your little pocket. And it's one of the largest houses in all of Savannah. Fun fact.
Oh shit.
It is also one of Savannah's most famous buildings. And I don't know if that's even just because it is haunted. It's one of the first historic landmarks in Georgia, so it's got a hardy history to it.
Okay.
So there's also a Ghost Adventures episode on it. There's also there's a Ghost Hunters episode on it, which I could not get access to. And it is, fun fact, the opening scene of Forrest Gump was filmed here.
Oh, that's fun.
It was filmed on the roof of the Sorrel-Weed House.
Okay.
So if you get a bird's eye view at the beginning of Forrest Gump, they were standing on top of the Sorrel-Weed House to get that shot. So the building was constructed in the late 1830s. I say that because I saw 1837, 38, 39, and 1840. So somewhere around there. It was built, and in 1954 was when it became one of the first, it might even be the first Georgia historic landmark. So there is more of a history to this guy, but it really didn't deal with ghosts at all. It was just more his background, so I didn't really touch on that. But the gist is that there's a guy named Francis Sorrel, and he at the time was one of Savannah's most prominent and wealthy men, which that's how every fucking story starts. And can you hear this?
What?
You really can't hear that?
No.
Fucking lawnmower man.
Oh my god, I thought again, I don't know why.
It's Francis Sorrel, obviously.
Don't you hear him? He's
it's
bragging
Forrest
about all
Gump.
his many monies that he has.
No, the lawnmower guy, he's literally technically only about 15 feet away from me. So
listen, I told you I can't hear it. I really can't.
I'm so paranoid about it. So Francis Sorrel is one of Savannah's most prominent, wealthy men. And I will get into it, but we could all pretty much guess where this is going, that he builds a big house for the social elite. They have a bunch of parties, a woman dies, and then someone in a certain colored dress appears.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I don't know why we're listening to it, and that's why I drink it anymore at this point, because that's the story I tell every
just
goddamn
for
week.
Sims updates. That's the only reason we're here.
So He's one of the most wealthy men in the area. He marries a 17-year-old heiress named Lucinda. Apparently they were genuinely in love, which I'm not sure what his age was. I'm not sure.
I mean, you could be in love at 17. I don't know.
That's true. I just don't know if he was like 50 or something, and then it gets weird. But they seemed to be very happy. They had 3 kids, and then 5 years into the marriage, Lucinda dies of the devil's disease. Do you want to guess what that one is?
It's not consumption, I'm assuming, because we already have so many fun nicknames for that. The devil's disease.
That's the hunger disease, actually.
What about yellow fever?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, my psychic abilities have gotten like sharper and sharper through this pregnancy.
I'm telling you, that little baby definitely knows what the devil's disease is. So,
No.
So she died 5 years into the marriage, and apparently they started out in Virginia. I don't know where in Virginia. That would be fun if it was Fredericksburg. But they moved to Savannah together as a couple and had their kids. And so when she died, they didn't have anyone to help him with the kids while he was working. And I guess Lucinda's family wanted to make sure that the kids were raised well. And so offered up their other daughter to him so that they could get married, and their aunt would be the kid's stepmom and would make sure that the kids were raised well.
My God. Oh no.
So Francis ended up marrying Matilda, who was homegirl's sister. What was her name?
But I love that Lucinda and Matilda is just like such a combo,
I feel like I would want to overhear what they say at a coffee shop. I feel like they've got a lot going on.
They're the ones to mingle with at the cocktail party for sure.
They're the ones who like snuck in the extra whole bottle of vodka in their purse.
Absolutely. And I keep pouring it into the punch jar and like not telling anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're on the same page with that. And so Francis married Matilda, and as a wedding gift, he commissioned this house for her. So he made this house for her to be like, oh, here's your wedding gift, and we can live in it together. The tour itself, because they do have the actual Sorrel-Weed tour on YouTube. Apparently, that's where I found out that Matilda and Francis ended up having 8 more children together.
Oh my.
So this guy's got 11 kids.
Oh my.
Of the 8 that Matilda and Francis had, only 5 survived to adulthood. The other 3 did not make it. The oldest, or the one that made it the furthest before passing away, she was 6 and died from scarlet fever.
Oh geez, so many fevers.
You know what I found out?
What?
Allison's sister had scarlet fever.
I told you that on the show, dude.
Oh, you are the one that told me about that. I remember I was like, I heard this recently and it blew my mind. Okay, yeah, fun fact. Carrie's had scarlet fever, and I'm still floored.
It's one of my favorite fun facts. I just love it.
See, how did you
I never got permission to share it, but I do anyway, so I hope that's okay, Alpel.
It's too late. One of my cousins got mumps, and I was
dear.
I was like, how did you get fucking
Didn't Carrie
mumps?
Also have measles? It was like she had all these weird diseases.
I think she's a time traveler. That's got to be what it is. So scarlet fever. Yeah. So there are 3 kids who didn't make it to adulthood. The one that died from scarlet fever, though, died in this house. So that's one of the earlier ghosts in this family. And oh, okay. Here's where it gets really sad. So the house itself, because it was the 1800s in Georgia, we can guess who else lived on this property, and it was several enslaved people.
Oh shit. I was like, mosquitoes? Oh my god.
Like, mosquitoes, they were also rampant, to be fair.
I was like, it was humid, I guess. I don't know.
That's not a bad answer.
Oh, Christine.
That might make sense for like, oh wait, are they the ones that give yellow fever or something, or what's the thing that mosquitoes
don't look at me like that. I don't
whatever
know.
Okay,
malaria,
sorry.
Maybe yellow fever,
maybe malaria. Okay, we gotta stop.
Listen,
why do I think I know medicine and diseases? I don't. So yeah, the house had several enslaved people in it. One of them happened to be one of the head servants named Molly, who Francis was sleeping with, and by sleeping with I mean very likely our wording.
Yeah.
And so apparently he enjoyed her the most. I don't know if I don't know what version of it is, whether he says he was in love with her. Maybe there's that 1% where it was consensual. I don't know. But he actually gave her own space in the physical Sorrel home, versus like her being in the quarters with everybody else. So she was treated very nicely. She, well, you know, she was giving
relative terms. Yeah.
She was given nice accommodations.
Right.
She literally, I think, slept in a room like right next to their room.
Oh boy.
And and yeah, so she was she had a, I guess, quote, better, whatever that means, quality of life. But in 1860, Matilda walked in on them. And we don't know why. It's not officially because she found out that he was sleeping with someone else behind her back. But all we know is later that day, she jumped out of the second story window and landed on her head, and she died in the courtyard.
Oh, fuck, dude. This got dark real fast. You were not kidding.
We should have just left it at mosquitoes.
I tried. I'm like you. I'm like, listen, I'm trying to lighten the mood.
I give, and for what? So a week later, or either a week later or 2 weeks later, Molly is also found dead.
Oh shit! What?
And she is found hanging in her room. So this could have been Molly, you know, either super upset and guilty that what was happening behind Matilda's back, or maybe she just wanted to escape herself because of what was going on with Francis. A lot of people also say it could have been another enslaved person who did this to Matilda. Some people say it could have been one of Frank and Matilda's kids as revenge on what happened to their mom.
Could it have been Francis?
Or it could have been Francis, who did this after his wife died, and it was like a way to cover up everything in case people started snooping around.
Yikes. And I mean, all of it's just bad. Whatever.
I mean,
clearly.
Yeah, whatever answer it is, it's not good. So after Matilda and Molly's deaths, Francis later sold the house to Henry D. Weed, which gives us the Sorrel-Weed House.
Good luck, Mr. Henry. He's like, I'll move in.
Henry, I hope you got this thing for a bargain.
Seriously.
So there is some continuity error here in the storytelling, because they say, after their deaths, that's when Francis sold the house to Mr. Weed, which I think is hysterical. That should be a dispensary out here.
Agreed. That's what I kind of thought you were saying when you said Weed House over and over. I was like, oh, that's cool.
A greenhouse, a hot box, if you will. And so the continuity error, though, lies in that there's also some evidence that Mr. Weed actually bought the house 9 months before the women's deaths, which would imply they didn't die there, and therefore the ghosts aren't there, and there are no ghosts.
Oh, so, but like, you mean bought it and moved in, and they had already been gone, but whenever the drama. I see. Okay.
Yeah. So like, how the two women couldn't have died on the property then if they didn't live there. And that has I think what we have landed on as a community is that there has been proof that Francis did sell the house 9 months before their deaths, but they actually just moved in next door. So there's a chance that the women died in the house next door, and because that felt less like home, maybe they haunt the actual property next door. I was
gonna say, like, I feel like people still end up in places that they didn't necessarily die in.
Right. And it's your home is literally next. If your home is literally next door, it would make sense.
You don't have to go far to find it, I guess. I don't know.
Quick travel on the astral plane.
Just jumping up. What is it? Hopping around? I don't know.
I was gonna say just a quick. Now I can't even think, but I was thinking the same thing, and I had it, and you didn't.
Pop it, twist it around. I don't know.
It's just a one, spin it away, you know?
Yeah. That's exactly what I was gonna say. And also, if she jumped out of the window, I feel like adjacent properties. I don't know. It could be like really close.
Maybe. Well,
in the courtyard.
Well, this also ended up being corroborated by someone who wrote a letter about Matilda's death. I guess he'd witnessed it or something, or
Oh.
heard about it from Francis, and was able to say, oh, she jumped out of the second story window, but from the building next door to where they lived. So that helps us solve that. Okay, so their deaths happened 9 months after they moved out, but they still haunt the building.
I see. Okay.
So in 1914, Mr. Weed, he sold the house to a bank. And then in 1941, a guy named A.J. Cohen bought it. And his son ended up taking it over and turning it into storefronts. His son moved in the 60s. So there were storefronts there from the 60s until the 90s. And in 1996, a guy named Stephen Bader bought the house. And he seemed like kind of a shady property owner. He had like a lot of like violations on his record. And he was just like, I guess, not restoring it properly or whatever he was trying to do. People didn't really like him. But he did try to restore at least some of the building. He took off the storefront part of the building to make it look more original. He repainted it. And by 2000, it was sold, became apartment complexes for a second, and it is now restored to how it looked. And they give tours, including paranormal tours.
Ooh.
So this is all now just ghosts, and there's quite a lot. So we are in luck today. Okay. So people feel anxiety when they walk in here, which could be paranormal or just us being just millennials.
Yeah, it's just the norm.
People also experience feeling nausea. They also experience feeling a strangling, and some people have indicated that's like a rope around a neck.
Oh God.
Charged electronics will die. Oh, by the way, like that gives me plenty of reason to throw in the fact that like Molly was not the only enslaved person on this property, so there was probably a lot of other really horrific shit going on, and that could also filter in terms of paranormal activity. So people have felt their hair getting pulled. People have been scratched. An apparition of Francis has been seen in the dining room, moving chairs around. And one time he was seen literally throwing a candle across the room.
Oh my God.
And my question is, was that shit lit? Like, can you imagine if you walked into a room and you saw a man throwing a lit candle across?
And think about all those billowy, dusty curtains they had back then. I feel like that would go up in flames, man.
Also, I still have some trauma after my sweatshirt incident, but imagine the melted wax flying across the room and hitting that expensive antique rug. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God, that would be so bad. You don't get that shit out, man. And they don't have a big freezer for a big rug. What are you going to do?
Oh, look, I'm telling you. Also, speaking of that sweatshirt, I'm pretty sure I have a curse with the Goodfellow plain black crew neck sweatshirts, because the wax thing happened forever ago. It had to have been 100 episodes ago now. And I got wax all up on this shirt. I complained about it. I was so upset about it because it was my favorite sweatshirt. And then lovely, lovely, lovely listeners all pitched in and got me a brand new version of the sweatshirt, which was so lovely.
I remember
that went missing. And I don't know how, because after I got the new one, I was like, I'm not letting this one go. I'm going to be so careful around it. I have no idea where the fuck it went.
Could it be at the apartment?
Maybe, but then I ended up getting a third one.
Oh God.
And that one fucking went missing. And I was like, what is going on? I have no idea. I cannot keep it together with these like plain black sweatshirts.
And RJ aren't like borrowing them or something?
I don't know what's going on. It makes me so upset though, because it really was my favorite sweatshirt.
Okay, I know that people are gonna be like, we should buy you another one. Don't do it.
No. That was not me fishing for a new sweatshirt. I'm clearly going to lose it. Please don't do it.
I was going to say, because it's not going to end well, apparently. Okay. So.
Also, Christine and I were literally just talking before we started recording that I counted how many sweatshirts I have recently. And I'm not going to say the number on here because I'm embarrassed. It's such a big number. I
guessed it too, speaking of my little psychic abilities, and was like, just take a guess. And I guessed a number. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly.
Not 100, but it's also not 10. So like
No, I'm just kidding.
I have way too many sweatshirts, so that maybe this is God being like, you need to calm down.
Plain black one can go. The plain black one can go.
I hope one day I find like all three of them like hidden under a bed or something, and I just have 3 black sweatshirts.
Then I'd like to borrow one because they sound cozy.
At that point, I'd be like, okay, yeah, you can have one. You'll have the one with the big fucking wax stain, and I'll get the nice 2 clean ones.
I just remember for like weeks we were getting emails like, put it in the freezer. Like, I will never forget all the wax tips we got. Like,
I'll always for the rest of time, I will know how to get wax out of anything because
We'll
of
be
all the
those
people who wrote
grandparents.
in.
Like, I know how to get it out like magic, you know?
I know how to get wine, blood, and wax out of almost anything.
There was a spill at backstage in San Francisco, and Em was like, "Step aside, a wine spill, a red wine."
Red wine spill on a bright white carpet.
Right, not in our property at all. And Em was like, "Step aside." And like, of course, the only one in the room who doesn't drink was like, "Listen, I grew up with Linda. I know how to get wine out of a rug." And we were like, "Wow, it was amazing."
That bright white carpet sparkled by the end. Just
Honestly,
so we're clear.
that part was cleaner than the rest of the carpet. I was very impressed. I'm not
Thank
gonna
you.
lie.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, he threw a candle. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So Molly's room, so he's been seen throwing candles around, so be careful if you happen to be there.
Don't wear your black sweatshirt over there.
Do not. Oh, I trust you. Trust me, it's so inconvenient. Molly's room is allegedly the most active. Objects move around in there, furniture rearranges itself, and this is kind of a new thing, but people are also hearing the sounds of children.
Whoa. Sorry, that was a weird sound.
Whoa.
I don't know what that was, but wow, that accurately describes how I feel, I think.
Like half shaky but half confident.
Yeah, like kind of freaked out but excited. Yeah.
So this is pretty recent because I watched one of their tours on YouTube, and it had been post-COVID. So they were saying that very recently, children's voices are starting to become a thing, and they think it's because all of the ghosts that haven't seen anybody in a year, like even the ghosts are upset about the pandemic, and all of a sudden people started coming back in hordes to do tours, and the ghosts are like super excited and they're more active than ever, so we're just hearing and seeing new stuff.
But wouldn't that also, not to be like devil's advocate, but to totally be devil's advocate, but wouldn't that also just be that more people are hearing more evidence of things?
Maybe
reporting more. Maybe
I was confused about why they're hearing children's voices, and then I remembered that little girl died from scarlet fever in the house. I associated with that, but it could very well just be people are hearing more stuff. I don't know. But anyway,
maybe during COVID they were running around and having a great time and nobody was there to hear it. You know what I mean?
Like the ghost
being alone. Yeah, the ghost.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, no, that actually makes
people are
sense.
Just like, we hear it now. Well, yeah, because you have 200 people in there. I don't know.
No, that's a fair point. Like they
loved the pandemic. They were just having a great time.
Isn't it funny that literal dead people are also reacting to a pandemic?
Yeah, it's weird. It's freaky.
Anyway, so fun fact: if you ever wanted to go now, fresh after COVID, because the ghosts are more active than ever, or they might still be like coming off their high of getting
just very active.
To be like children home alone for the weekend, you know. So people see shadow figures, they hear voices in empty rooms, especially in the carriage house, and there is a lady in black and a lady in white.
Okay, here we go. This is what I've been waiting for.
So I'm going to talk about the woman in black later because she's in the basement, which we haven't gotten to yet.
Ooh, I just got chills somehow. That's freaky. I don't know why.
So we actually don't know which one is which, like who's the woman in black, who's the woman in white. But this is the first time we've had like this crossover between two ghosts we hear all the time. If we heard of like one like brunette woman in a red dress on top of that, I'd be like, we've hit the trifecta.
If there was a wedding dress, I guess maybe the white dress is a wedding dress, but like
maybe
add a whole new element to it.
It's the most ambitious crossover since Infinity War, I tell you that. So the lady and that was the thing I wanted to say. That was the reason I drink this week, because I hope everyone has listened or seen Loki. If you watch that, you have like 5 seconds to skip ahead. Okay, I'm just going to say it. The thing I'm so excited about is, so Loki ended last night. And
this is a spoiler. Is that what you're saying?
This is a spoiler. Yeah.
Okay.
So skip ahead for like 30 seconds if you haven't watched it yet. But it's
probably
also
just skipped ahead 30 seconds. Or like, why are you still saying to skip ahead 30 seconds?
It's something we all knew was coming, so it doesn't like totally blow my mind, but it's a big deal that officially, I need you to pretend like you care, Christine. Officially, the Marvel Cinematic Universe now has the multiverse. The multiverse now exists officially.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very big deal. So we were on one timeline this whole time, and now it has officially branched off.
Okay, I get it.
Everything,
cool.
everything was one timeline, and now there's literally now it's insane the amount of things that are going to come out of this. There could be 10 of the same character in one show. There could be all from different time periods, all from different realms, from different quantum realities.
Oh my God, that's cool.
So, and we're for sure going to see that because they also, in the last episode, we were all pretty much guessing it, but they basically revealed the new big villain. You know how like in Infinity War, like 10 movies were leading up to the big purple guy with the glove.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you remember the glove at all?
I remember
that lights up.
Yes, okay. I know that
so
the gauntlet.
The big purple guy. He was like the villain for like literally 15 movies, and they just announced the next new villain, which we all were kind of hoping it was going to be anyway. And this guy's all about time travel. He's really horrible. He's worse than the glove guy, and I'm very excited. So
I do appreciate that you use terminology like the glove guy with me. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome. The purple glove guy. But yeah, so now and for all the people who are aware of the Spider-Man theory coming out, basically, you know how there was a Tobey Maguire series of Spider-Man, and then there's Andrew Garfield.
So
they're thinking
different.
because it's
oh my God, that just blew my mind.
That it's like at this point we're all pretty much expecting it to happen, but they have not confirmed a single fucking thing.
That's wild.
But in the new Spider-Man movie coming out, we're all expecting Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland to fight together in a scene that's going to blow everyone's fucking mind. So, okay. So
spoiler over. Sorry you had to skip ahead for so long, but we're
sorry.
back.
Yeah, I didn't say anything nobody like wasn't already guessing, but it's just all been confirmed now. So okay, Shadow Voices, Lady in White. Oh yeah, the ambitious crossover Infinity War thing. Yeah. So the Lady in White is seen in the parlor. Apparently the parlor is super active. That's like where most people get EVPs and see shadow figures in the windows and stuff like that. Employees hear say that there's another ghost here called Captain, which is horrific.
Ew.
And Captain has put caretakers into trances before so that only they could see him and nobody else.
He sounds like a Marvel villain. I mean, really.
He sounds pretty insane. So one caretaker got out of bed one time and walked over and looked down at the stairs and could see the Captain walking up the stairs toward him, but the caretaker was talking to his coworker being like, he's here, do you see him, and nobody else could see this full-bodied man walking up the stairs towards him.
Oh no.
Also so the stairs are near the parlor, which is why I bring that up in the parlor section. The parlor people also smell perfume. They hear laughing, clinking, piano playing, violin playing, basically any party sounds. They hear chatter and talking, like there's a residual party happening. There's also very clear pictures of people in the parlor, like creepily, like to a point where I'm going to send you some pictures right now.
You mean like apparitions?
Like people take pictures
like photos,
and there's like people in the pictures who are not supposed to be there. So
shit.
I
love that.
This is the first one. Let me know when you get it. It's this is from the tour. So the person in the middle was not there.
Okay. I'm waiting on a text. Sorry.
No, you're good. Let me send it to. I sent it to the group chats. Maybe I'll send it to you too. Just by yourself.
Sorry, I had your text open. Wait. So okay, where is it? Here we go. So what am I looking at here?
So there's
what?
So there's two little girls who wanted to take a picture in a mirror. They wanted to take a picture in the mirror, horrible. And the person in the middle was not there.
This is horrible, Em.
So
it looks like Samara from The Ring.
It looks pretty wild. So here's my
I just got shivers. Oh my God, I hate it.
So here's my favorite one, which is worse. Here's another one.
If anybody can see this on YouTube, but
we'll put it on
the person.
We'll put it on Instagram.
Oh yeah, we'll put it on Instagram. Good idea.
So there's two pictures to this one. One's a close up at the bottom.
Oh, that person is not supposed to be there?
Yeah, that person was not on the tour.
Absolutely not.
It's like clearly a person. Clearly a person.
Yeah, but like it looks like she's wearing jeans. Like who could that be?
No, she's wearing like, I thought she was wearing like a dress. Like it's like cinched under
Oh.
her.
Oh, I miss okay, I see what you're saying. I see what okay, I just saw it. Like I for some reason it looked like jeans from afar, but now that I'm thinking of the cinched dress, that makes it so much worse.
So there's a final one too, and this comes from an article in Country Living called "I Captured Something Disturbing on Camera at Savannah's Sorrel-Weed House." And here is the
Didn't we talk
picture.
about country living last week?
Maybe.
I think that was where they like put in those
Oh
pictures.
yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
know why I thought of that, but
Country Living is getting a
oh
lot.
my god. Okay, I just goose cam central. I don't like that. I don't like. You don't even want to look at it anymore.
Well, you know what
I
also
don't know why
freaks
this is
me
freaking
out?
me out so bad.
Well, you know what freaks me out is if you look at the previous picture that someone else took on a different tour, it looks kind of like the same person. Same haircut, same cinched kind of colored dress, the olive color, tan colored dress.
No, you're completely right.
It looks like the same person.
You're completely right.
Isn't that wild?
This is bad for me. This is not good for me. I'm not into this. This is not good.
Especially
And
because
also, by the way, oh sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially because in the last picture I showed you, it looks like it's almost like overalls or something. Like there's little straps on the shoulders. If you look at
Yeah.
the picture, the first picture I sent you, where the woman in the doorway, it looks almost like the sleeves are a different color than the rest of the dress, which would fit. Anyway, it's all creepy.
Okay, listen. This is the other thing. These are all in a mirror, right? Like these different photos are in different mirrors.
All these pictures are in the same mirror in the parlor.
The same mirror.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so they're just this is just not good. Okay, so
right,
also,
because they all have that light in the ceiling.
no, you're right, and there's the doorway in the background. And also,
Yeah.
what freaks me out is that like, do they live in the mirror? Remember when I requested mirror stories for a listeners episode, and it was just like one of the scariest things we've ever done. I don't know what it is about mirrors, but they are fucking.
Well, they're
freaky.
literal portals, aren't they, into like
Yeah, I
alternate
guess
worlds or the
that
liminal
makes-
spaces? And also, it's interesting that it keeps showing up near doorways, because doorways are also another threshold,
Oh,
like another liminal space in between. Something.
This is so spooky. I didn't
So
expect
anyway.
it to be this scary. I'm actually quite flipped out about
Yeah,
this.
the pictures come out really intense. Like they're clear as day pictures of people.
It looks like an oil painting. Like this guy
It's
looks
wild.
like an oil painting. Anyway.
So people also hear really loud sounds in empty rooms. They also hear wartime ambiance, which is how I categorize it, but it's battle sounds and a marching band. And this is because before the Sorrel-Weed House was here, this was the area of the Siege of Savannah in 1779, where this is where there were British barracks, and like 1,000 people died on this property.
Oh shit.
It was the Siege of Savannah was the second bloodiest battle in the American Revolution.
Oh my god.
I don't know what the first one was, but that's the second fun fact. It was also it's number 2 in bloodiest battle ever in the American Revolution, but it is number 1 as the bloodiest hour. So in 1 hour, that many no other battle has had more people die.
That's horrible.
So, you know, perfect grounds with a bunch of like hundreds of troops dead. Apparently they still think there are bodies buried under the building of troops that they just couldn't dig up.
Wow.
So people also smell cigar smoke. They see a British soldier near where the barracks used to be. And one visitor actually saw a shadow figure and heard the sounds of war in the house, and ends up getting so nauseous that he threw up in the courtyard. In the basement, there's a haunted chair you can sit in and potentially make contact with one spirit. And people have been touched. They've seen figures pacing. And this is where people also see the woman in black who has been caught in pictures glaring at you.
I see. I don't like that she's just in the basement. Like that doesn't
only the basement
ring good. That doesn't ring right to me.
You're exactly right. And there's also a man with a mustache who is also seen downstairs in the basement in pictures.
Mr. Potato Head.
Could be Mr. Potato Head. Could be Christine's kid. It could also be Francis's son Frank, because he was a doctor that lived in the house for a while and he used the basement as his like medical office.
Okay, interesting.
There is also a being down here known as the Shadow Man.
Yeah, see, I knew something was wrong with this place. I don't like the basement. I'm not into it.
Shadow Man is 8 feet tall.
Forget it.
They assume that he was once a British soldier, but if you have dangly jewelry on, the tour guides will literally tell you to take it off because he steals all of your jewelry.
Oh, he can have it. I don't care. You can have it. Take it.
Ugh,
I thought they were gonna say he
gross.
chokes you to death with it or something. But if
Oh,
he
well,
wants it, he can have
you
it.
could be the first.
Don't say
So
that. Can you imagine if you're wearing earrings and someone yanks on it? Like that's my worst fear already.
yeah, I wonder, like, does it just like fade away on you and you don't notice, or does it get ripped off is the
Yeah, or is it
question.
like your sweatshirt where it just vanishes?
Right. Well, there's also I don't know why this came into their possession, but the building now has a wheelchair downstairs from like the 1800s, like old as shit
Super
wheelchair.
duper.
And apparently the ghosts loved it when it got here, and so now it's been seen on camera moving by itself.
Oh, maybe they were like, this is a much easier way to get around.
Maybe they're just like having a good, you know how like when you have to go to your like dad's office as a kid and you find the spinny chair and you're
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
is going to kill some time.
Yeah.
That maybe that's what they're doing with the
Just like
wheelchair.
a new thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Um so people also in the carriage house where the enslaved people were, people get depressed obviously, and they have a heaviness on their chest. They sometimes say they can't breathe, and this is bananas to me. I don't know what we are allowed to legally show in terms of audio that isn't ours.
Okay.
But I can send you the link later if you want. Just trust me, it's the scariest thing in the world.
Oh
That
God.
ghost hunters, they got one EVP. I couldn't watch the whole thing, but or I couldn't actually see the episode of Ghost Hunters. I couldn't find it anywhere. But it's such creepy evidence that on the tour of the Sorrel-Weed House, they play this now for people.
So I think we can play it if we attribute it, and because we're reporting it basically.
Okay.
If you attribute it to like the right source or link or whatever.
Okay.
Or we
So
can just put the link in the show notes, maybe.
all right. Perfect. So do you want me to send you the link then?
Sure, but I don't know how to play it so that they can hear it in the episode. I guess
Well,
we can have Eva just stick it in.
yeah. Can I just play it for you at least and you freak out about it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let me go find it really quick. So it
Also,
was
if you're on YouTube, I'm sorry I can't edit any of this, but you're just gonna have to get the raw, real deal here, and just
people seem to be into that though, so whatever.
we'll link to it. It's on YouTube, right?
It's on YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah.
on YouTube you can just go to the link too, I guess, and if you want to watch it.
So
But come back. Don't leave us forever.
don't you do that. It's called The Most Haunted House in the United States, the Sorrel-Weed House, and it's the actual tour itself, but they play a clip from Ghost Hunters in a piece of audio that they found on their investigation. So you can find the Ghost Hunters episode. I don't know where, but it is their 2005 Halloween special. I just couldn't find it. And that's where they got the evidence, but this itself is from the tour. So
And can you give them a timestamp again?
it's 12:20.
So that way you don't have to watch the whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna play it now. And I don't think you can hear it right from my end. Probably not.
Probably not.
Okay. What the actual hell was
Isn't that creepy? So for those who
and you are like giving me like I'm freaked out today.
So
I don't like that.
For those of you, I don't know if you would be able to hear it or not, or I know we're going to put it in, but just to reiterate, Ghost Hunters got very clear audio of a female EVP, a woman saying help and then moaning and then saying get out of here, get out, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah, so if you
And
want to go back and listen with that knowledge in your head of what it's saying, like
Yeah.
that makes it creepier to see the words right now.
so it sounds like someone either walked in on someone dying or someone, it sounded like someone is definitely in pain. It sounds like the last couple seconds of someone's life or someone witnessing another person's last couple seconds of life. I'm unsure, but it sounds very panicked and pained, and it's really creepy. So how do you feel?
God, that was horrible.
It was so clear, wasn't it? It was so clear.
I at first thought it was somebody talking, and I was like, will you shut up so I can hear the EVP? And I was like, oh my god, that's the EVP.
Yeah, it sounds like a woman in pain, and I don't know what the situation is, but it's super creepy. I in my head I saw it as like it was when Matilda jumped out of the window, and it might have been whoever walked up and found her, or it might have been or maybe like she survived for a second on the ground. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a good point. Or it could be somebody telling the kids like, get out of here, don't like
Yeah.
step back, don't look or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
That actually, that honestly, that's, now that you say that out loud,
It freaked me out.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like somebody saying like, get help, and then like, get out of here, don't look, or don't.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So just to make things worse, there is apparently in the basement an apparition of a little girl who likes to play hide and seek and bite people's ankles.
I mean, come on.
So see ya. But to make up for all of it, my favorite ghost I think I've ever heard of is this group of women, which I think it's fun that as they're a collective spirit of multiple people.
I love that so
like
much.
they're just like girl boss squad, and they like just
click. Yeah.
They're a little clique, a woman's clique. And they're
Girl boss.
they're often seen in the parlor complaining about the tours.
What? That's not very nice.
It's so fun though that they're just like not even afraid to say it. They're just like, what are you gonna do? Kill me? Like, here I am.
I mean, truly, like they have to spend eternity together. Oh my God.
Yep. Anyway, so I think that's fun. Obviously, it could be some foresight into you and me and in the afterlife, just gossiping away in front of people.
As loud as we can.
As loud as we can. So these are, I only have 3 of them, but I also went to Reddit and looked up.
My Alexa just started talking.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't like that because I can't even hear what she's saying. Alexa, please stop talking. Sorry, can we cut that out of the audio later? You
know? So I don't often do this, but I went to Reddit to see if anyone had any stories about times that they've been there.
Oh,
I
love that.
One was literally 6 months ago. So this is from Feste 13.
What?
Feste 13.
Oh, I thought you meant like the date, like from 6 months ago. No. And I was like, I've never heard of that day.
It's a handle.
Got it.
So they say, this house messed me up for a good 12 hours at least. I was on the regular tour, not the ghost one, and I stayed back to get pictures with no one in the room for the woman's side of the gathering rooms or whatever it's called. So they were talking about the parlor rooms.
Sure.
I assume since I'm male, they weren't thrilled about an uninvited male alone in here, and I got super lightheaded and almost passed out. And I was in a heavy fog the rest of the day, not super eventful. However, I would 100% never feel like that ever. Someone else, also 6 months ago, named Otherwise Resident, says, one of my best paranormal experiences ever. I was pushed on my back. I love that this is your best paranormal experience.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. I got pushed on my back in the house. And
it sounds like Zach, but yeah.
And I heard a voice say, move in the basement. And my film footage was ruined by a strange black mass that looked like a floating ink stain. Ooh.
Okay. Yikes.
Very strange. I heard laughing and saw floating lights in a local graveyard when I was alone. Savannah is haunted.
Yes.
Someone else called the FCC Hates USA says, we were at Sorrel-Weed House at the big room, and I believe in the front of the house that has a balcony overlooking the interior room and a staircase. We were standing right at the foot of the stairs, and the other couple were a few feet away. We were talking about something, and then one of my friends goes, what is that? And points up to the staircase. We looked to see a glowing face up at the top of the stairs. It looked like a child's face, pale and luminescent with facial features, but no body. It was floating up in the air, almost touching the ceiling, and suddenly the face zoomed backwards behind these double glass doors at the top of the stairs. We could still see it behind the glass, and then it dropped down to where a child's head would have naturally been, and then back up again.
What does that mean?
It vanished. Then it vanished, and the entire thing took seconds to happen. The other couple we didn't know saw it too.
Oh wow.
So they just saw, I don't know what you described. I don't know what you call that, but a lot of people saw it.
And the fact that multiple people saw it then, and it's not like a recurring thing that people see. So it's not like they put a light show on or something to trick you.
One other person was down in the basement and says that they felt a finger stroking them on the back of their arm.
I swear to God, Em.
And pulling their leg. So
you're killing me here, man.
So before we go, obviously I have to talk about the Zach Bagans episode. Fun fact, again, I said it earlier, but this is where Zach taught me that it's actually pronounced Sorrel. But this makes me want to also do a quick jump off and let you know that I did just go back to the Zach Bagans house this weekend. And
Right.
on the way there, speaking of mispronunciations or maybe proper pronunciations, the Lyft driver kept asking us about the museum and kept calling Zach Bagans Zach Begons, as in like Begone Satan. And
Be gone.
I'm so mad that we never came up with that on our own.
It's
but
excellent.
they clearly thought it really was pronounced Zach Begons. And I was like, that is kind of quality, actually. So
I really into it because I already say his name wrong, apparently, which you told me. Baggins, I just say. But yeah, Begone is so good. Begone.
yeah. So anyway, but we did go to the Allison and I went back to the museum. There was only like 2 new exhibits. Everything else was more or less the same, just moved around and put in different rooms. I did find out that Zach Begons has 7 or 16 storage rooms around Vegas, because I was like, what happens when one room gets taken down? Like, what do you do with haunted stuff? And they said he has like nearly 20 storage units. So like, I would like to go on the back end tour and go to those storage units where you're just
oh yeah,
you're just in like a 10 by 10 room of the most haunted shit ever.
And also
that's a possession waiting to happen.
And all the dolls are like, why did you put me in this fucking garage instead of on display? Like, they're probably pissed.
Yeah, I like how they're like, but at the house you have to be respectful, like this is their home. And it's like the other one is in literally 120-degree Vegas heat in a storage unit
box.
But let's respect this one in their home.
Yeah. Did you talk to PTD?
I did see PTD, looked her in the eyes. I said hello, and I very quickly, many times, said goodbye. And they did it. That also looks different now. I don't know if it's because of COVID or something, but all their rooms where you used to walk in and just get to stand there and observe. It's now they have the item in the center of the room, and you basically only get enough time to walk around it and then leave the room.
Because we just hung out there for a little bit.
You and I went in by ourselves and talked to PTD.
Nobody else came.
That wasn't an option anymore. Like originally it was like, you can go in on your own and talk to her and then leave when you're ready. But everyone, it was like, either you're in or you're out. And if you're in, we're all going to walk around it and 5 seconds later be done with this. So
got it.
So I was like this close to her because I had to look at her as I was, but I didn't get to like talk to her. Allison's favorite part was the Dybbuk box room. Now they don't even put the tour guides don't even come with you anymore to the Dybbuk box part. They just say like, oh, go into this room, we'll finish up the tour in a second, and then they literally leave you in there by yourself. Like, they don't come in.
I mean, that's the best sign.
And they just play a TV, like a little thing in the corner where Zach tells you about the box and says like, you're about to see the Dybbuk box. And Allison's favorite part, because for those of you who don't know, Allison is much more skeptical than I am. And so it was very interesting to only go with a skeptic, because almost every other time they said anything, Allison's eyes were just like rolling further back into her head.
Of course.
But when we went to the Dybbuk box part, Zach was trying to talk about all of his experiences. And he was like, the last time I interacted with the Dybbuk box was when my friend Post Malone came with me. And Allison's eyes were all the way back here. And she was like, I'm sorry, you can't really possibly expect me to be scared when you start a sentence with me and my friend Post Malone.
Me and my BFF.
Anyway, so there was only like one really new exhibit that we hadn't seen before. Everything else was the same, but they have a new, much more expensive version of the tour where you can stay, like they literally like lock you in the hotel by yourself for an hour and a half.
What?
Or like not hotel, the museum. Like trust me, it's already on my bucket list for you and me to do.
I was gonna say, we have to do that. We can expense it for sure.
They literally leave. It's like at night, and they leave you in the entire museum to do whatever you want for an hour and a half.
And we're doing that for sure.
Well, there you have it. And they changed up the format a little bit. Like now there's some rooms that are off limits to general admission because it's part of the package that you get with that, where you get to see other rooms.
Wow.
So anyway, so Zach Begons, this is his version of Ghost Adventures, where he was talking to the tour guide. We got that dust thing going on again where my nostrils are freaking out.
What dust thing?
I have an allergy to dust where only the tip of my nose itches
that's
like
right.
fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
You did tell me that.
So now I know I have to sweep after this.
I don't know if that's worse or better because I have an allergy to dust where I get terrible sinus infections. It's like,
oh, I would much prefer this because it goes away after like a half an
okay,
hour.
I was gonna say, I mean, saying it out loud, I guess that's worse, but like that does sound very irritating.
Well, so Zach was talking to a tour guide named Donna in Molly's room, and immediately Donna feels something intimidating in the room and has to sit down, and feels like she's really dizzy. Another tour guide says that people have tried taking pictures of him on tour, and when they look at the pictures, he is not there, but a different person is.
Yeah, I'd quit that job instantly, like instantaneously. Like someone's replacing you in photographs. No, thank you.
It's also like they know you're going to take a picture and their
Yeah.
intent. It's not like you accidentally caught a shadow walking through the room. It
Yeah.
was like it wanted to be
Like
the
ready for
forefront
my
of the
close
picture.
up. Yeah.
Mhm.
And wanted him to not be in the photo, which is hysterical.
Yeah, was like,
not like
back
next
out.
to him.
It's like, no, this is my time to shine.
It's my portrait session. Oh my God.
He also heard people walking around, doors opening when he was alone. And this tour guide also says that the parlors are super active. Psychics get a lot in there, and Matilda has been seen and photographed in there. So maybe that's who we're seeing is Matilda in the pictures.
Interesting. Yeah.
Donna no longer goes in one room in the basement because I'm guessing this was Shadow Man. She feels like someone bull rushed her and like held her down so she couldn't leave, and she felt swirling all around her. And ever since, she won't go in the room by herself.
Well, yeah, I mean,
this same entity is also seen in different parts of the basement. People have apparently experienced it, like seen it sitting on a couch. They have sat on the couch themselves and felt someone sit next to them. And people have also heard the springs of the couch move as if someone sat down on the couch. So it really likes this one couch, apparently. Interestingly, Aaron's camera, when they were interviewing Donna, it wouldn't film anything. Like it just shut down. It looked like it was filming, even though it didn't capture any video when Donna was in the room. But once she left the room, it went back to filming. So there was like a weird cut in his footage of like,
that's always freaky.
only when Donna wasn't there and intentionally didn't record anything.
And that's also freaky because I feel like they have the top notch. I mean, that show is high, like they have the top notch equipment. It's not like they're running with like 10-year-old cameras or anything.
Yeah, it's super creepy. And also one of
speaking of technology, sorry to like cut you off, but like ever since you sent those photos, I don't know if you can hear it, but your audio has been like staticky, like literally since those photos came through.
Oh, really?
And I keep, it just like garbles your voice every now and then. And I'm wondering if it's going to be heard on audio. Probably not, because you're recording locally, but it's like freaking me out. It's like little skips. I didn't think about it until you just mentioned Aaron's camera. Anyway,
I'm checking my audio right now and I don't see any little blips.
It's probably just like the Zoom connection or something. But anyway, I just reminded.
Oh, that's so weird. Okay, well, sorry you've been having to deal with that.
No, it's barely. I can barely, like, it doesn't bother me. But at first I was like, oh, that's fine. And now I'm like, oh my God, it's haunted.
It's a scratchy sibilance. Is that what it is?
It's like little staticky moments.
Well, apparently people have also felt pressure in their head when they're in the basement, which would be where there were trauma patients. So they think it might be residual pain. Spirits don't like people in the house after the tours end for the day. And apparently that's obviously when Zach would go to investigate. So both Zach and Aaron at the top of the stairs get really dizzy in the same spot Donna was dizzy earlier that day. They get a female EVP, again, super clear. If you want to go listen, it's season 10, episode 9, and this audio is wildly clear. It is definitely a young woman when Zach is in Molly's room and trying to talk to Molly and asking her to talk back. You can hear a woman say hello really clearly. Like, might as well have just been on camera with Zach. Ooh, I like have such goose cam right now.
I'm honestly like kind of freaking out. I don't know why. This story is scary.
Something hits Zach, like pushes him, and I'm gonna believe that he actually did get touched, because usually he would make such a dramatic case over this, but he did seem kind of stunned and didn't even really react. He was just kind of like, whoa, and he had to sit down. And while he's sitting down, he hears clear footsteps walking towards him. And then he says he starts feeling really numb. And on camera, he seems at least to be going into some sort of little trance. and he narrates over it saying that whatever happened on this investigation in that moment was attached to him for days afterwards. Once he leaves, Jay also feels something grabbing his neck, and Aaron feels something stab him in the ribs, and there's literally like a blade-sized scratch on his rib afterwards. So they think it might have been a bayonet from one of the soldiers.
Oh God.
Seconds before Aaron felt stabbing, they got really clear audio of a man talking in the basement, and also what sounded kind of like a door opening or someone walking on the floor. When they used the spirit box, they asked Matilda, "How did you die?" And they got the word hanging, which again was super clear. This place had only really super clear audio. It was really weird.
That's freaky.
And what's interesting is they said, "How did Matilda die?" But Molly died from hanging. So they think Molly might have interrupted her to like Matilda, like, I'm gonna fucking say something.
This is about me now. Yeah.
But so the word hanging like absolutely came in clear to "How did you die?" And trigger warning for assault, people who've dealt with assaults, the R word. That was one of the words that came out really clearly on the spirit box.
Oh shit.
Which is what was happening probably to Molly from Francis. So the right next to each other, the words hanging and then the R word or sexual assault came out clear as day at the same time. And
what
then
the F?
Two voices for spirit boxes came out at the same time. One said, "Get him," and the other said, "I can't."
Okay. Good night.
Zach then says, "What would happen if we go into the basement?" And a male voice says basement, as if like mocking him or mimicking him. But it wasn't even an EVP that they caught and listened to later. They heard in real time next to them the guy say basement. So that freaked them out. Then they saw a mist on the thermal camera, but then every time they tried to film it, the machine would turn itself off only when they were trying to shoot the mist.
That freaks me out. I don't
just like
that.
when the camera wouldn't shoot on Donna, the thermal camera wouldn't shoot on the mist. They started freaking out about it, but they, when they were trying to figure it out, they started smelling sulfur, which means a demonic force. Mm-hmm. And the mist ends up showing up behind Zach in a picture when he tells the spirit to push him. So I'm just going to end on this very lovely quote from Zach when he was asked about the Sorrel-Weed House. This is what he had to say after the whole episode. Should I read it like him?
Please.
"Our investigation of the Sorrel-Weed House in Savannah, Georgia gave me a 3-alarm hangover. It was very similar to a real one. Headache, nausea, dizziness, throbbing, memory loss, but weirder. I can usually gauge how bad my hangover is going to be by the interactions I have with spirits during a lockdown, but this one threw me for a loop."
What does that even mean?
So apparently he had a hangover from the ghosts.
A spiritual hangover. I guess that's pretty cool.
I guess that it probably followed him home and he had residual side effects from having investigated it. But the way that he mentioned it, I was like, okay, Zach, like, thank you for that. Anyway, that is a very long story, but a really intense story, I guess, also of the Sorrel-Weed House.
I don't know if it's just like I'm just like extra on edge lately, but I am really spooked by that story. I don't know. That really scared me.
That was a good one. I very rarely can I find in-depth solid ghost coverage anymore. I feel like I did all my big ones a long time ago. So it's good to know that there's still some out there that are super fucking creepy.
I mean, if Zach can keep finding them for all of these seasons, like, they exist.
They sure do. They sure do.
I don't like that one bit. I'm freaked out, dude. I don't know. I'm glad Blaze is home this week because I'm not into this.
The pictures were intense. The pictures were a little insane. The audio really of the like get out of here, get out of here. That was pretty insane.
Makes it a lot more real. Okay. Well, mine is spooky too, Em.
I'm ready.
So here we go. This is one of the one. Okay, maybe I just am on edge. I don't know, but this story that I'm doing today, like, got me more than usual, and put me on edge and freaked me out more than usual. So, let's just see.
Is it a serial killer?
No. What's the other one that always freaks us out? Sorry, my eyelashes are getting messed up.
Something that freaks you out.
That like
Freaks us out.
that are like,
Oh, unsolved mysteries.
yes, unsolved
Is that what this is?
disappearance. Yes.
Oh, a disappearance. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you know what it reminds me of is the what's his name? Oh my gosh. Bryce Las
Brian
Pizza.
I always think his name is Brian Las Pizzas.
I think it's
and I know
Bryce
it's not
Las
right.
Pizzas or Bryce Las, or something. I don't know.
I can never get it right, and I always feel bad about it.
Bryce.
And then I think in my head, like, oh, it's probably actually, because I think it's become that thing where I
think it's the other thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Like now I'm like, oh, don't say Bryce, say Brian. And then you're like, it's Bryce. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I cannot get it together. Okay.
Well,
but yes, I'm excited for this.
Reminds me a little bit of that story. So this is the story of Neo Babson Maximus, aka Charles Allen Jr., and his disappearance. So
okay.
Oops, my computer. Here we go. All right. Make sure I'm recording on all fronts, because now I've just that story you told made me all paranoid about our technology. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So at least we can always blame ghosts when things go awry.
It is a useful quality to this
convenient show. Yeah. All right. So in the fall of 2007, 22-year-old Neo Babson Maximus was in his senior year at University of Massachusetts Dartmouth campus when he mysteriously disappeared. Neo was last seen at 3 a.m. on October 13, 2007, around College Lane in Dartmouth, Mass, in a situation that was pretty out of character. So at 3 a.m. on October 13th, it sort of appeared he was trying to break into a woman's house via her second-story window. And once he got inside, this woman got up and was like startled. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking for my friend Mason." And when she said Mason doesn't live here, he politely excused himself, jumped back out of the window, and disappeared into the woods.
In that moment, I would have put a bunch of bricks in that window and made a wall, and that guy could never come back.
I would never live there again. I don't know what I would do, but I'd be
like, officially, I just have like a Home Alone like trap set up at that window for if someone ever tries to come near it again.
1,000,000%, especially at 3 a.m. I mean, that must be terrifying.
But this was the last time he was ever seen.
Yes. So the woman reports this to police, adds the fact that she thought it was strange that the man was wearing nothing but running pants, not even shoes. And Neo never returned to his off-campus apartment in New Bedford, Massachusetts, nor did he show up at college or anywhere else. In fact, this woman would be the last person to ever see him.
Wow. And something was up because no one runs in the woods without shoes.
Yeah, so like, especially in Massachusetts in October, like that's gonna be chilly.
Oh, forget about it. No. Something was up. Something was up.
So Neo was born April 26, 1985, and he was completing his final year studying psychology at University of Massachusetts Dartmouth campus. And he was known to be extremely intelligent, kid who thrived at whatever he was doing. He was 22 at the time. And there's a podcast called Thin Air that did an episode covering this case where they interviewed one of Neo's best friends named Anthony. And Anthony was also interviewed in the Disappeared episode on Discovery Plus. Shout out. And Anthony had been living with Neo over the summer. So he has kind of like good insight into him and his character and what was cooking. So what was cooking. So this friend Anthony said that Neo was one of the smartest people I've ever known. He had a very good memory, a photographic memory. You could basically give him a credit card, show it to him, and give him 20 seconds, and then he could just remember the card number. Anthony also continued, he was goofy, but if you didn't know him very well, you'd think he was serious. He was one of those people where if he set his mind to do something, he'd do it and excel at it. So there seemed to be like nothing that strange at the time that people noticed worth reporting. But looking back, I don't know, hindsight is 2020. There's some weird stuff that had happened. So a month before his disappearance, Neo had legally changed his name. So
Neo, right?
To Neo, exactly.
Okay.
So although Neo Babson Maximus is like, whatever, a pretty badass name, I guess, he was actually born Charles Allen Jr. after his father.
Okay.
And he was really close with his father. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm changing my name to, remove that aspect of my life for anything.
Had like the Matrix just come out and he was like just so like blown away that he had changed his name?
Well, kind of, yeah. So
Oh.
he played this video game called Half-Life, which I don't know if you've heard of. And his
No.
his video game username had always been Neo. And he was sorry, I'm like thrown off here. So Half-Life is like this first-person shooter game. Anyway, in the game, he had always been known as Neo, and it came from his love for the Matrix character Neo. So you're
Oh.
completely right. He said he
So
identified
far,
with him.
I'm pretty sure I can crack this case.
Okay, maybe
just based on being able to be right on that one thing, I think.
On that one thing. Okay, perhaps.
So far, 1 out of 1 guesses has been right. So let's see.
So far. All right, let's keep going. So, any guess as to what Maximus is from? While we're on a roll here.
His gluteus, obviously.
No.
What? Where?
The movie Gladiator. So.
Okay.
And then Babson was a family name. It was his mother's maiden name. So. Neo, like I said, was his name on Half-Life, but he didn't just play Half-Life. He was literally the #1 player in the world.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So he was a gamer, but like professional, like he did this took it very seriously.
Yeah.
And some of his family members said like he was one of the best in the world. His friend Anthony said he was like #1 in the world. So I think, I don't want to just say blanket #1, but like top player, one of the top players in the world. He had actually just attended a cyber athlete professional league event, and he had gone to Dallas to compete against players from all over the world. So like he took this
cyber athlete. That is so fun.
Well, yeah, like esports.
I just never heard it, but heard that phrase before. That's such a cool way to phrase it.
Yeah, my cousin Johannes works in esports, and it's a very fascinating field. It's just a wild, it's like a huge industry. I like don't know much about it, but he was big. He was a really competitive
Does Johannes
player.
know about this person?
Oh, I don't know. I have to ask him.
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
That's a good question. I'm gonna text him.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
If you're just cracking this case right now, I'm gonna freak out. This is gonna be just a wild day for me. So in a rare video, it's a YouTube video of Neo at the Dallas event. You can hear Neo saying to the interviewer, "When I get addicted to something, that's when I start to understand it. That's a lesson I've learned in gaming. If you want to get good at something, get addicted to it." So just like a note into his, personality.
Sure.
And oddly, the video was published a couple days after his disappearance, but I think that's probably just coincidental that they did that. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did it on purpose, but it's just kind of weird timing. So lately, Neo had become addicted to 2 things. Do you want to take any guesses?
Yeah, I was going to ask, can I take a guess? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
just like get in the mind, get in the mind.
Okay, I'm going to say some sort of fitness.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say,
ooh, good job.
Some sort of fitness. Was it something like experimental drugs?
No.
Okay, I don't know. What?
Do you have a guess as to the fitness thing? Just like
running, like track or climbing? Oh, what the fuck? Okay.
I know, random, really random.
Okay.
I'm just amazed you even guessed that like that far.
So my thought was if I were trying to go back to him like running up that window,
sure.
And I was like, and he's like doesn't have a shirt on or anything. I was like, maybe he's like learning more about like survival instincts or running or something. Anyway,
tennis, but close enough.
So I was close, but no cigar.
No cigar.
It's okay.
So he was wanting to be. So like I said, he took things very seriously, including gaming. So he got obsessed with tennis and he was playing it constantly. And he decided he wanted to become a famous tennis player. Which I mean, listen, you're already a cyber athlete. You might as well, right? I mean,
yeah, might as well become a physical athlete too. Damn.
Why not? So he decided his name, Charlie Allen Jr., just wasn't going to cut it. So he changed his name to his gamer name, which was Neo Babson
Which is
Maximus.
so weird because Charlie Allen sounds like such a tennis player.
I completely agree. I think he wanted it to stand out, like be more newsworthy, like Neo Maximus. Like, it's quite a name. But you're completely right that I think Charlie Allen Jr. It does sound like somebody at Wimbledon, like Charles.
Yeah, Chuck Allen. Like,
Chuck
okay.
Allen. So he had changed his name to his video game name, and this was months before. I want to point out, like, this wasn't like the week before he disappeared. This was like the summertime he had done this, and he disappeared in October.
Okay, got it.
Just to give a timeline. So he told his friend Anthony, like, he like showed him his ID, and he was like, look what I did, I changed my name. And his friend was like, you've got to be kidding me. And Neo said that the woman at the police station who was like filling out the paperwork had laughed at him for doing it, and he was just so proud of like this, I don't know, he seemed like a very spontaneous person also. So like,
he also seems like he was really invested in, like, really cared about that thing where his name was, like, the game where his name was Neo. So like, I could understand if he was like taking it seriously, like, no, I want to be recognized as this thing, you
right
know?
And I identify with that part of me, or that person. Yeah, completely. That's a good point. And the second thing Neo was fascinated by, and this didn't come up in the disappeared episode, so I wonder why, but apparently he had become really fascinated by Scientology.
Oh, did not see that coming. Okay.
I know that, like, that's, I mean, even when you said an athletic thing or whatever you said, I was like, if M says fucking like a religion or something, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind because this is so random.
My not so medium skills only go so far. So
I mean, you already impressed me with everything so far, so it's fine.
Thank you.
So he became fascinated apparently by Scientology. He had told his friend Anthony how he was intrigued by Scientology's anti-psychiatry and anti-medicine movement, which, if you don't know, is a big part of Scientology beliefs.
Yes. And the exact opposite of my thinking he was getting into like different drugs and steroids and stuff like that.
Good point. Right. Well, it's okay. You were like on the spectrum, just like on the other side.
I was definitely on the spectrum, and that I was on the polar opposite, but the spectrum nonetheless. So
it's like a circle. If you hop one skip and a beat bop or whatever we called it, then you'll do
a twist it. Yeah. I was one twisted away.
You're close enough. It's fine. So he was fascinated by Scientology. He thought it was really interesting how they were against medicine. He had explained to Anthony that Scientology says that you don't need medication. It's all a placebo and a waste of money. And that is something that they do, is they, take you off medications, especially like any mental health medications, and try to, fix it with their cool, fun, machines and shit. So don't worry about it.
They're little tin cans on a string or whatever it was.
Yeah, it works. No, it doesn't work. Please don't do it. Okay. So this school of thinking got so in his head that he took himself off of his own medications. And Neo suffered from bipolar disorder. So dangerous thing to just suddenly decide Scientology is going to fix me. I'm going to go off my medication.
Yeah.
And so, in the disappeared episode, they did not touch on this. His sister kind of explained it as, so she told like one anecdote where they had been hanging out and he had been on these mood stabilizers since high school because he had, in his teenage years, he'd always been really shy. And then all of a sudden he started kind of having these manic episodes, and it was so noticeable that his family took him to a psychiatrist. They found out he had bipolar disorder. And so he was put on mood stabilizers. And while they seemed to like work fine and he got into college and was doing well, I guess he, like a lot of people I know who've experienced something similar, was on these medications and thinking like, I feel numb. Like I don't feel like myself.
Zombie.
Yeah, zombie. Exactly. And so he had this conversation with his sister where she was like apparently really, really upset about something and was like sobbing, like just was very, very, very upset. And apparently he just looked at her kind of blankly and said like, I'm just jealous you can feel something like that, And so it's just, it is chilling. And so that was kind of her explanation as to like, he just didn't want to be on the medications anymore, which I mean, I understand.
Yeah, totally get it.
Yeah. And so I guess he had kind of had an on again, off again relationship with his medications anyway. So I just want to paint that clear picture because I don't want it to be like a week earlier, he went off his medication and then he vanished, like it wasn't that black and white. And like his family is very clear that like they've known him obviously his whole life, and they knew when he was going to be having a manic episode. It usually built up to a certain point.
Sure. This was
Like,
just uncharacteristically.
yes.
Okay, got it.
And like his sister made a good point. Like people just hear like mental illness or bipolar and are like, oh, he was just crazy and he ran away. And it's
Right.
like such a
Stigma. Yeah.
such a stigma, and it's so much more nuanced than that. And so anyway, I just want to paint a full picture of that. But yes, he did have bipolar disorder. He went off his medications for a number of reasons, I guess. And his friend Anthony, for example, knew him really well. He said it was never anything like a Jekyll and Hyde situation that you see like with a stigma. People didn't even know he had it unless he told them. And he kept it pretty quiet from most people, so a lot of his friends didn't even know. And so he had been going off his medication as of like, I think that summer. So when he changed his name, like that same time period. And he had also started like fully spinning his sleeping pattern out of whack, which can also be really
not good.
Yeah, it can like totally tip you in like certain, at least in my experience, like directions mentally and
sure, yeah,
otherwise. And so Anthony remembers that Neo wouldn't sleep like normal people, quote unquote. He'd take a nap from 12 to 2, then he'd play tennis and then sleep 5 to 5:30. Then he would be up for another 2 hours and have another nap. He'd only sleep in increments of 30 minutes to 2 hours every couple of hours.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's actually a name for it. But Anthony said that in combination with the medication he now wasn't taking made him act differently.
Got it. Okay.
So just a number of things going into this. Apparently, so Leonardo da Vinci had this polyphasic sleep pattern, which is where he would allegedly take 20-minute naps every 4 hours.
Interesting. So like only get one sleep cycle in per every, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like isn't like 24 minutes like the amount of a sleep cycle or something? So then he would wake up and then do his thing until he needed another sleep cycle.
I've also heard of sleep hours an hour and a half, so I don't totally to go through the whole thing, but I don't totally. I know you can take power naps for 15 to 20 minutes, and that's
I was gonna say I used to take. I don't know why 24 stays with me. Maybe I just made it up, but in college, someone must have said it to me, and I just ran with it. But 24-minute naps to a T like would really get me going. Like those really powered me through.
I like rarely nap, but now that I'm tired all the time, I do nap, and I always set my timer to 25 minutes because it's enough time for me to fall asleep, have like a 20-minute sleep cycle and wake up again. So it might be what it is. And he slept, so I guess Da Vinci slept 20 minutes every 4 hours. And apparently like, okay, so there's this article on Insider that, because I was like, I need to know what this polyphasic sleeping thing really is. So there's an independent article called 14 Bizarre Sleeping Habits of Super Successful People. And so like Michael Phelps, for example, like it's just people where it doesn't totally surprise you they have like a weird way of sleeping, but also you would never guess it. So I guess Michael Phelps sleeps in like an oxygen deprived chamber or like a high altitude chamber. Like he literally said he has to go into his room and then there's another door to his bed because his bed area is a higher elevation at like 8,500 to 9,000 feet, so that his body works harder while he sleeps. Which I'm like, I don't need to be working harder while I sleep physically.
The fact that he found a way to exercise while sleeping is so gross.
Isn't that horrifying?
Ugh, I could never. Well, I mean, I like to think I kind of have a weird sleep cycle where I sleep in like multiple 4-hour periods. Yeah. Like I don't ever sleep for 8 hours. I'll sleep for like 4 hours. And then after like so long, I'll take like a quote 4-hour nap, which is basically my second sleep. And for a long time when I would sleep like that, it worked really well. But no, working out or sleeping for only 20 minutes a day is 20 minutes every 4 hours. And that's how you live. That's only like 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess Nikola Tesla also did that.
Wild. Like, maybe
he would never sleep. I don't know.
I mean, I know we joke a lot about how we're actually like weirdly good at being productive and creative when we're slap happy. Yeah. Like maybe that's how they were able to come up with random fucking theories. Is like they were delusional.
Honestly, it's entirely possible. And like in the article too, it said something fascinating about like it would have helped Da Vinci be more productive, but it would have been really hard to maintain long-term projects. Do
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like apparently just the way you sleep can so affect like your productivity and your creativity. And so it might have just been like he had so much time and it was like that kind of yeah, half
right.
awakeness.
What a
Um
fun little deep dive that was. Oh my
isn't this
gosh.
so
Wait,
interesting? So
was there anyone else?
oh yeah, so Stephen King's pillows all have to point in a certain direction, like the opening of his pillowcase.
What a nut. That's crazy. Okay.
Oh, I have a similar thing, but I think that's just OCD. I don't think that's like that doesn't like help my productivity because I'm no Stephen King or Da Vinci, but it does definitely give me deep anxiety. But and so so Da Vinci did this. So the name of it is the Uberman sleep cycle,
Okay.
which is that like polyphasic 20-minute naps. And apparently that's just really hard for like long-term projects.
You should do
Let's
more deep dives, Christine. It definitely takes away from the horror that you deal
you know
with.
what, and it's funny because I feel like during your story too we did a couple like roundabout like and it just adds so much more. I don't know.
You should do more deep dives if you can find a way to insert them respectfully.
Oh,
Like that was so
happily.
nice. That was so fun.
Oh good, well I have a couple more here. Charles Dickens
Okay.
always said he had to sleep facing north, um
Huh.
and said it improved his creativity. A lot of these people also suffered from insomnia, which like hashtag relatable. um and Nikola Tesla never slept for more than 2 hours a day. So I know that apparently he
Okay.
once worked 84 hours in a lab without any sleep.
Oof.
There was
I mean,
one.
whatever. It worked.
I
It
mean, listen,
worked.
yeah, who am I to judge, right? Like I have plenty of unhealthy habits. Oh, and I think my favorite is Mariah Carey. So
I
she
can't wait.
I
Does
just
she sleep on a silver platter? What happens? I got in sequence pillows.
well, probably that probably wasn't even enough to get in the article. Like that was probably like assumed. But she apparently surrounds her bed with 20 humidifiers. Um,
Wow, she keeps that of those vocal cords moist. I got it.
steamy. Yeah. She said basically it's like sleeping in a steam room. So like fully. I mean, I hope that they get that place checked for mold every now and then because that seems like a lot
Oh,
of
for sure.
moisture.
But also like I like that she's never talked about that when it comes to like explaining why she has amazing skin.
Oh, true.
Like
Good point.
they're like, I am sorry, but I refuse now to believe any of her like beauty product brands that she works with. Like she literally sleeps in a sauna. Like, are you
Okay, she
fucking
sleeps
kidding
in a
me?
sauna and she has to sleep 15 hours a night.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay,
It was
so
like, how is that even possible? Like, I can sleep a lot straight, but 12 hours is about like my max
she
out if
needs
I'm,
to go to a sleep study. Like she needs a
that's what
doctor
I'm
to make sure
wondering.
that's okay. Like, is she
Yeah. And
okay?
apparently, I think it was Tom Cruise. Let me double check. He also had a weird thing about sleeping.
Oh,
What a
Tom Cruise has a
shock.
lot of weird things going on.
Yeah. Speaking of Scientology, but yeah, he sleeps in a soundproof snoratorium because he snores so loudly. And I'm like,
Okay,
I feel like,
genius.
sorry.
You're okay. I'm sorry. So snoratorium, let's talk about that real quick. I am kind of grossed out at myself that I've never named my bedroom something like that because like for a long time after we watched Charmed, I was convinced that Allison and I would be referencing to our apartment as the manor.
I
I was like,
remember you
oh,
tried to do that. I was on board, man.
I need to bring it back. It was just laziness that kept us from doing it. But the fact that my favorite room I haven't named, that's upsetting. Okay, so snoratorium. That's the
You
one
better
thing
come
I
up with something.
actually. He's actually done it
This,
right.
I was gonna say you're
Finally,
gonna
he
take
did
that
something right.
away from this whole article. Is snoratorium is all you're gonna take away. I love it.
Yes, obviously the bathroom is the poop deck. I mean, that's a given.
Obviously.
I don't know about the
Uh,
kitchen yet, but absolutely, snoratorium is truly, I think, is the greatest thing he's given me.
my mom calls my living room. What does she call it? The parlor or something like really obnoxious. And now
Fun.
it's just stuck in my head now, and I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in the parlor, and it sounds so douchey,
Oh, when you start using it normally,
but it
that's when it's
cracks
a
me up.
problem.
I just think
You
it's
should call
funny.
it the drawing room.
I thought about drawing room, and then I thought about what's the other one? A sitting room. I don't know. There's all these like ridiculous words you could come
My
up with,
mom
but
calls one of the rooms in our house a sitting room, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
yeah,
Like
Linda and I would.
we don't even sit in there. It's the room that like everyone's got a room in their house they just don't fucking use, and that's the room that she calls the sitting room.
Well, that's kind of what this room is as well. This
Uh-huh.
parlor room that like just kind of is there, and it's nice. I mean, it's like I sit in there sometimes, but there's not like a TV. Like I don't like hang out in there, if that makes sense.
My mom uses it sometimes to talk on the phone, but that's as far as she gets. I'm like, why do you even try? Like, we should have just boarded this room up. That's like made it a haunted rumor.
That's where the dog like barks at the mailman. So I guess that's part of the sitting room. The parlor.
It's the barking room.
The barking room. Okay, that actually works way better. So anyway, that's a fun like sleep study situation.
A sleep dive instead of a deep dive.
Come on, that was
where are we? Heaven? I'm confused.
Hell, most likely. So sleep dive, just a quick sleep dive. So anyway, point being, he was doing this strange like 20 minutes every 4 hours sleeping situation. Or not every 4 hours, sorry, that was Da Vinci, but Charlie/Neo was sleeping like these weird 2-hour shifts every now and then instead of like a full night of sleep. And anyway, that plus the not taking medication, that could have had an effect on, according to his friends, it did have an effect on his behavior. But that all started during the summer. And also around this point, his friend Anthony realized he had been sleeping out of his car, which was very strange because he had an apartment with a bedroom. Like there was no, he wasn't, out of a home or like it was just, he just slept in his car. And he had this Ford Expedition, so it was like a bigger car, and it had a backseat with a pillow and a blanket in it, and he just slept in there, which is interesting. I guess if you're sleeping 2 hours every now and then, but
there are times when I have, in the middle of the night, I know I have to get something done. Like, for example, my notes today, I started them at like 2 a.m. and
oh my god,
it was pure actively not wanting to do my notes. I like was I was just like on TikTok, and then I was like watching TV, and I like just had no interest in it, but I was getting super sleepy before I started my notes. And so I intentionally went to bed at like midnight in a very uncomfortable position so that I would be more likely to hear my alarm and wake up.
No.
But that usually, if I have to get something done, but I'm really sleepy and I know I need to nap for me to even be functional to do the thing, I will make sure that I have an uncomfy nap so that way I'm more willing to wake up.
What was the uncomfy position?
Oh, I just slept it like in like the chair, the upright chair instead of the couch. And then that way I was like, my body was like not really totally relaxed, and it was easier to wake up later. Wow. So I'm trying to think like maybe, and then I got my notes done in an hour and I went to bed. Like it wasn't
and
a big
you're not
deal,
even trying to be a professional tennis player. You're just trying to get your notes done.
Not yet, but I'm sure I could hyperfixate on that any day now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm imagining maybe he like was trying to find a comfy / uncomfy situation. So that way he would it'd be easier to wake up in the 2-hour thing if he was trying to get himself into that mindset.
It could be. And like, you got the Neo, you got the sports activities. Maybe that's what he was doing. He was like, this is my new sleeping fixation. I'm trying to become the greatest tennis player, and this is how I do it. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he read Michael Phelps and was like, I have my own thing. I don't know.
Maybe he was driving up to a higher altitude. I don't know.
You know what? That is worth checking out. Any mountains in Boston you could maybe be driving up to? Perhaps.
Maybe he just parked his truck on the Sitco sign or something. I am not sure.
Oh my god, that was next to our apartments.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, this just kind of is a summation of what was going on in the months leading up to his disappearance. So Neo's family would last hear from him October 11th of that year, and he went missing October 13th. So just 2 or 3 days before he disappeared. His sister Brittany was looking to chat with her brother on Facebook, and they apparently chatted all the time. Like that's where they day to day chatted with each other. And for some reason he had messaged her earlier that day, and she went to message him back, and his account had been deleted. And so she was like, what the hell? And they were really, really close. And so she called him immediately and was like, why did you delete your Facebook? And this was 2007. So this was like when Facebook was like in its young person heyday, like when people didn't use it just for minion memes. It was like, we actually, exchanged like messages with our friends.
It wasn't all Farmville, okay?
It was Farmville, at least for me.
Farmville and bumper stickers. Remember bumper stickers on Facebook?
Shit. Yes. Oh my god, that's trippy. I remember I played Frontierville. I didn't even play Farmville. I played like the off-brand like Frontierville. It was so fun. Anyway, so she calls him. She's like, why is your profile deleted? And apparently she said I could hear his heart sink. Like he like freaked out. And he was really alarmed. He said, I didn't delete my profile. And she was like, well, it's gone, you know, and he apparently got super upset, super paranoid and freaked out. And he was out for a walk, and he then went on to say that he had recently emailed some powerful people. They were now after him. He didn't feel safe. She wasn't safe. And that she had to go to her dad's house, and their dad was the only one who could keep her safe. And
Whoa.
he wouldn't say who he had emailed. He just said, I got involved with, I emailed somebody, and they're dangerous and we're not safe.
Shit.
And the thing about the Facebook, I guess, is what like triggered him to be like, okay, things are bad. So she to this day is like, I think something was really up. I don't think he was like, this was an illusion. I don't think this was something that he was making up or imagining. She thinks it was really
Sure.
real. And you know, some
Okay.
people say this was just a part of his manic episode, but who knows? So
Okay.
right after that, he called both his mother and his father. But he also said, oh my God, I forgot the creepiest part of that whole phone call. So he told her, there's somebody after me, and you and I are not safe. And then he said, the answers can be found in the periodic table of elements.
Now we're doing an escape room thing. Okay,
I
great.
know. And then he hung up.
That's okay. Okay. Well, I don't like it. If I got that phone call from you, I'd be like, well, I don't know what I would do.
I don't
If
either.
that's super scary. Also, I really the hint itself is not useful. Like,
Yeah, it's freaky and it's like confusing. Like it's like, wait, explain yourself. Yeah, it's bizarre. And he was clearly outside. And so right after that, so he hung up on her, and she was like, what the hell was that? And she was like, this is not a thing he did. She never experienced this before with him. So straight after that, he calls his parents. Neither of them pick up. So he leaves separate voicemails on both of their phones. So on his mother's phone, he tells her a similar thing, like, someone's after me, I'm in danger. And he says, I'm going to head to Florida. I'm going to Florida. Just a heads up. Then he calls his father and
okay.
leaves a voicemail that says all the other same stuff, except instead of Florida, he says he's going to either Texas or Mexico. So it's just like all over the place. And on both calls, according to his parents, he was running, he was out of breath, and he was running through a forest, through the woods. They could hear
Jesus
like
Christ.
branches snapping, and they could tell he was
So
out of breath.
so already I'm trying to piece it together with the first part of the story where he ends up running. So he probably called them when he was on the way to this building to find Mason. Quote,
So that
quote,
was this
quote.
was 2 days earlier. So this was
Oh, okay. He's running in the woods a lot. Okay.
he's apparently just in the woods, and nobody really understands why.
Weird.
He didn't like, as far as I could tell, he wasn't just running in the woods for fun every day. But
Maybe okay, sorry, it has nothing to do with anything yet. I'll save my theories for the end. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
can't wait to hear them. There's some really wild theories about this story too, by the way, that you're gonna be like, it's just freaky stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's odd because obviously it's odd in and of itself, but then it's also odd, like, okay, he tells one parent Florida, he tells the other one Texas. It's just like strange. And according to Anthony, the news about him just getting up and going somewhere wasn't completely out of character. So like, even though he said, you know, Mexico, Florida, or Texas, apparently Anthony said, like, it's not the first time he's kind of up and like spontaneously gone somewhere.
Okay.
So I guess around September of 2007, which is a month before his disappearance, he had been watching the US Open, which was happening in New York. And then he randomly said to Anthony, hey, you want to go to the US Open? And Anthony was like, no, not really. Like, we're in school right now, and you know,
I am
away.
not as invested in
Right.
tennis as you are, my friend.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, this is your thing, and I'm so proud of you, but like, I'm not participating. So he was like, do you want to go? And Anthony was like, no. But apparently the next morning, Anthony got a selfie in a text message from Neo, which was with one of the tennis pros. And Neo had driven up that night after he had just decided this on a whim, slept on a bench, and snuck into the tournament. And between games, he would hide in the bathroom and then sneak into the next one.
So smart.
This is just like a thing that he did, I guess. He was very spontaneous. And Anthony wasn't like, he was like, this is just kind of part of his character, I guess. It's just something he would do. And according to his family, once he and his sister and mom went on vacation along the East Coast to watch some tennis, and when they were leaving to return home, he wanted to stay, but they were all heading home. So he hopped out of the moving car and hid in some bushes.
Mm.
So Neo called up Anthony to tell him what was happening during this event and said, if my sister or mom calls you, don't tell them where I am. And when
Oh,
the family called Anthony to be like, where is he? He jumped out of a moving car and we don't know where he is.
yeah.
Obviously, Anthony was like, he's fine. He's safe. He's hiding from you. And he called me. And apparently Anthony got a voicemail from Neo saying something along the lines of, hey, I just want to let you know I'm pretty mad at you. I'm pretty mad that you let them know where I was. I was going to buy you a Dodge Viper, like the car,
Okay.
for when I became a professional tennis player, but now I'm not. Goodbye. So, so it's just like strange.
That sounds the most unstable that I've heard so far.
It's surprising to me because it's like you jumped out of a moving car to hide from your mom and sister, and then you told your best friend like, don't tell them where I am. And it's like they're worried. They just want to make sure you're okay. I don't know.
Yeah, the part of with like the Dodge Viper and all that seems so like grandiose of like, oh,
Yeah.
like the things I am capable of or the things I will be capable of one day, and like you've let me down. Like,
But part of it to me, and I don't know if this is true, but part of it to me sounds like a joke. Like I was going to buy you a fancy car and now I'm not because you told them where I was.
oh yeah,
Like it
it's all
sounds,
about the tone. It's all about the
yeah.
tone.
And like he did say like he was a goofy guy and like people thought he was serious, but he was like actually he didn't take himself seriously. So at
Mm,
my first thought was like, oh, I was going to buy you this nice convertible and now I won't because you like I don't.
gotcha. Okay,
And
gotcha,
it
gotcha.
didn't like affect their friendships. I don't think it was like he was actually mad at him. But you're right. Like if it was serious, then it was like that's a very strange thing to bring up. So I don't know.
Sure.
I guess you're right. It does depend on the tone. But either way, jumping out of a moving car, not really the most
No,
standard of
still
behaviors.
not, still not great.
Still not great. So, um, what was strange now is that he had panicked so aggressively about his Facebook being deleted.
Mm,
And according to his sister, he was really, really online. Like all of his stuff was online. He talked to everyone online. He was very, I mean, he was a cyber athlete. Like all of his shit was on the internet. So when his Facebook was deleted, he was apparently like really flipped out. Um, and so after speaking to his family, he was supposed to meet his friend Mason. Remember Mason?
yeah.
And he was supposed to meet Mason to go to a house party. And apparently, so Mason was a guy that he played tennis with, and they had gotten close playing tennis. And Mason
Okay.
had told him, oh, the girls' tennis team is hosting this party. And Charlie or Neo was really excited. And Mason, by the way, called him Charlie because Mason didn't even know that he had changed his name. Like
Whoa. Okay. So they
he
hadn't talked
didn't,
in a little bit.
no, they hung out every day. He was meeting him that day. But
Oh,
like
and he like he still hadn't been told. Like they just
he
never
just didn't
came up.
tell him. He just didn't tell him. And he didn't know he
Hmm.
had, so it was after he went missing that Mason learned he had changed his name and that he had bipolar disorder. He didn't know either of these
Got
things
it.
about him.
Got it.
And so they were more like, I guess, acquaintances, but they hung out a lot. And so he was supposed to meet Mason that day. They had played tennis together that day, the 13th, and were supposed to meet to go to this house party. And apparently, Neo/Charlie was very excited because he was like, I want to talk to some girls and just like hang out. He was very looking forward to it. But Mason waited like 45 minutes at their meeting point, and Neo never showed up. Uh,
Okay.
and at first, Mason was like, just assumed he had like forgotten about it or just went without him. And so it didn't strike him as odd at first. But then later, when investigators asked him, like, how was he acting that day? He said, this is just so random, but he said this incident happened at dinner. And he was like, I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, it's kind of odd. So I guess they had dinner at the university cafeteria. And at one point, they're eating and hanging out, and Neo just reaches over and picks up a piece of Mason's pizza and just starts eating it. And Mason's like, dude, what are you doing with my pizza? And
Yeah.
Charlie or Neo says, oh, sorry, I thought that was mine. And Mason was like, it was just so odd because like he took it off my plate and then was totally flabbergasted, like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I thought that was mine. Like just
Huh.
strange behavior where it's like,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
huh. Yeah, I don't know.
where you could like, if you could look back and be like, oh, that was just nothing, but then in the context of the greater picture, it's like maybe that was something. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think like, oh, maybe he thought that they were like splitting the pizza and like there were two slices and he was supposed to grab one. But then also, I think like if you grabbed something off my plate, I'd be like, Christine, what the fuck are you
No,
doing?
and like I just feel like two bros like who play sports together hanging out, and he's like, this is mine, and then he's like, no, like I don't know. I feel like
yeah,
in that situation, if I were Mason and I were like, it was weird, I feel like he probably had a better understanding of like the tone of it, you know what I mean?
No, I trust it. It's weird. Got it. Okay.
But yeah, so he's like, that's what he did earlier that day. So I don't know. It's just one of those strange, like, it doesn't sound that dramatic, but I guess it's pretty weird if like that's
I mean, I guess there's no real threshold that like we haven't determined like what makes something weird or not yet. So maybe that's just like one of the lesser weird things compared to like jumping out of cars and shit. So
yes, exactly. Like maybe this was something he did, and I don't know exactly. Maybe this is just part of his personality. So as mentioned before, he did not go to see Mason at 8 p.m. for the party, but instead at 3 a.m. was found in a random woman's house in the second floor saying, I'm looking for Mason.
And he knew Mason's address. Like he knew this was not.
And that's the big point. Exactly, that is that he had been to Mason's house many times and vice versa. So there is no reason why he should be climbing a second story, first of all.
So either he's lying or he's mentally unwell. It's one of the two. Either he's something chemically is going on or he's lying.
Right. And the fact that he just kind of was standing there and then this woman said he doesn't live here and he said, oh God, I'm so sorry, which is like, again, kind of reminiscent of the pizza thing. Like, oh, I thought that was mine. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I thought my friend lived here. I'm going to get out of your hair. And just
like, left. It's almost like in those two instances, he was just super forgetful, like just
confused.
Like, just guffawed. Like, oh, just, what?
Flabbergasted. If you will.
Yeah.
So just really odd. So, he obviously was found by this random woman in her house, and he said, I'm so sorry. She said he was extremely polite. Like she was interviewed and she's like, he just was like taken aback, was super polite, said, I'm so sorry, jumped back out of the window and disappeared. So again, he'd been to Mason's house many times. It's really odd that he just forgot where he lived and thought it was in some second story of a random building.
Right.
So in the following days after the voice messages, Neo's parents became worried. The content, obviously, of the messages had alarmed them, and now they couldn't reach him. So eventually they contacted Dartmouth campus police, who checked his computer. And according to a website called Missing Souls, which is like a missing persons website, the computer had been completely wiped clean. And he had said to his sister, remember, I sent some emails. Yeah. And oddly, the emails from like the last 5 days had been completely wiped off his account. Just strange.
Do we know if there's any theories about him interacting with the dark web? Because if he was
web
or like dark net or whatever it's called, because like if he were talking to some people that could have been, you know, bad people, and then all of a sudden his Facebook is hacked and he's emailing something, like maybe I don't know. Or it could have been.
That's one of the theories. So you're definitely onto something, and I'm going to definitely point that out in a little bit. Near the end. But yeah, you're definitely onto something. So it's basically unclear, like, did somebody else wipe these to erase evidence? Did he clean them out to erase a trace of where he was going? Like, who knows? But they were completely gone. And there's like no electronic trail for investigators to follow. His credit cards were not used. His mobile phone was not used. His bank accounts hadn't been touched. And he had just vanished into thin air. And his friend Anthony said, you know, as much as like nobody thinks he would ever just disappear for the hell of it, like if anybody could do it, he could do it. Like if anybody wanted to change his identity and do it, he could do it. He already changed his name.
Clearly he could already be on the way to do that if he wanted to. Yeah.
And he was savvy enough to do it and creative enough to do it and dedicated enough or fixated enough to do it. But so again, people are like, he would never have done that. So, you know, I do trust when families are like, like, I'm not going to discount a family saying like, we know him very well.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But his friend did make a point. Like he'd be able to, if he wanted to. Um, so the Charlie Project notes that some breadcrumbs were left behind. So his blue 1999 Ford Expedition with the Maryland license plates was found abandoned on the university campus. And it had, like I said, the pillow and blanket in it to confirm that he had been sleeping in his car. Then a few blocks from where he had broken into that apartment, they
Mhm.
found his backpack full of school supplies. Uh, and his shoes were found on a completely different road near a wooded area. So all three
Huh.
of these things
Okay.
had been kind of abandoned in different spots. Strangely enough, his keys, cell phone, and charger have never been found. So those were with him,
Ooh. Okay.
presumably,
Sure.
or they've gone missing somewhere else and just haven't been found. But now we fast forward to 2 years later, because just nothing's happened for 2 years. And there's an unofficial sighting in 2009 when a resident of New Bedford, which is like right in that town where he lived,
Mhm.
named Stephen, reported that a young man rang his doorbell at 4 a.m. And Steve said he opened the door. There was a kid. He looked disheveled, underdressed for 4 a.m. like winter weather. And the young man asked him for directions to the SMU campus. Now this is creepy. So SMU stands for Southeastern Massachusetts University, and that is what University of Massachusetts campus, Dartmouth campus, used to be called before 1991.
Oh,
So it's like the old name for it, like not even when he went there,
weird.
right? I just thought that was creepy.
That I don't even know how to like unless you're just trying to like sound original. Like I can't think of a single reason why you would do that unless you had like again weird memory loss issues.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And it kind of freaked me out. And then I was thinking, like, maybe it's not him because it's somebody else, but then who did go to SMU back in the day. But then I was like, no, the guy said he was a really young guy. Like, he was a young kid or a young guy, a young man. Like, he wasn't old enough to have attended this university before 1991 to
And
have
he
actually
and this
called
is
it
the
that.
school he went to.
Yes. It's weird, right?
Hmm.
It's just like unsettling somehow. I don't know.
It's like black-eyed children almost where it's like you're
Yes.
trying
Oh
so
God. Yes. It's like
like you're
off.
trying so hard to sound correct and yet
Yes.
and you're so a little off.
And the weird part is he was in the town of his campus and his old apartment. Like, he was, whoever this guy was like right there in town. It wasn't like he was somewhere across the country and lost. So just really
Was
odd.
the guy he was asking older and maybe he thought he needed to use the original name of it?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. The guy was interviewed and he didn't seem that, that old. Oh, you know what?
I
No,
don't
that was a
know.
different. Trying to think if the guy was interviewed. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I hadn't thought of that, but the guy was like, "What are you talking about?" And Steve
Oh,
said that his wife was getting freaked out for understandable reasons and was like, don't open the door any further for
yeah,
this person. We don't know him. So he shut the door and called the police, being like, this could have been a robbery. Like, we didn't know if he was trying to get into the apartment.
sure, yeah.
So he called the police, and by the time the police arrived, the man had disappeared. And in the following days, Stephen then saw the missing persons report for Charlie Allen Jr. and was like, holy shit, that is the kid at my door. That's the guy on my porch. So
Weird.
he was insistent, like, that is the same guy. I saw him. And even the fact that he was standing there not dressed for the weather, fits. But it's also creepy that it was 2 years later, like, what has happened in those 2 years? It's
I
just
feel like
freaky.
he hit his head. I feel like
That's what I said. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to scream, but I wrote at the end like maybe a head and like I don't know if
it
he was running
feels
through the
like
woods.
everything about him being so like almost there but also
Mhm.
being confused but also having like a lot of
Seems like an
anxiety.
amnesia thing. Yeah,
It seems like there was some sort of like injury
like a
like
traumatic injury or something. I had
or
that same thought.
drugs. Like I don't know. It
Right.
feels like I mean he's definitely if you were to tell me he was hallucinating I couldn't not believe you.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's
something chemically is not okay.
yeah, and if that was him, and it's also like, I guess it could be someone else, but it's a really weird incident slash
Yeah.
coincidence if that was somebody else. But maybe it was just a random thing and he just happened to look just like the guy. But it's just weird. So oddly enough, after that there were no other sightings, official or unofficial. And no further clues or information have ever been found. They did a very like intensive search of the woods. The family hired a private investigator, and they did this like really thorough search of the woods that one of the investigators said was, they think, the largest in New England history. It was like
Oh.
really thorough. And they found nothing. They found some bones, but they turned out to be animal bones. And the private investigator basically said, like, I don't think he's in those woods. Like, I think we would
I
have
think
found
with the
him.
amount of time that has gone by, he could be anywhere.
Yes, exactly. And so that's, some people think, well, okay, we'll get to that. But basically, so nobody really knows what happened to Charlie or Neo. His body's never been found. It's not clear whether these people that were after him were real or if he was hallucinating. Maybe this was a suicidal situation where his lack of medication, lack of sleep, maybe some paranoia that could have affected it. Maybe it was a tragic accident.
Sure.
Maybe he's still alive. Maybe he's a Scientologist. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. And
But
for all we know, he changed his name again. Like,
yeah,
there's
true.
like, he could be like walking around and like just not in the system under what we know him as.
Yeah, and they did say they have his fingerprints and everything, put his DNA and fingerprints in the database so that if he's ever taken into protective custody or arrested, that it'll ping as like a missing person.
Sure.
So that has not happened so far. His dad, it was really sad. His dad said he still keeps his cell phone line active on their plan, like he still pays for it just in case, which is just like tragic.
Also, like, I wonder, like, he either isn't here or he is still unwell or he has a lot of guilt and shame about what happened. It's got to be one of the three if he hasn't reached out,
Yeah, I mean, right, like either there's a reason he's not reaching out, or he can't, like he doesn't
Yeah.
remember, or he has passed. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like that's broad, but I feel like you're right, those are the options. And then
Because
there's
if he were like totally like, back to how they knew him,
like lucid,
he would have called them and been like, oh, what's going on?
Right. Like, I don't doubt that either. And his family was very clear. Like, they were so close, and they were like, he wouldn't just like intentionally hurt us like this.
Or if something really happened where, like, I mean, we don't know what it is, if it was the dark web, or maybe like he pissed off some Scientologists, and
God, I didn't even think of that.
And like maybe they like, I mean, they like took down his Facebook, and then all of a sudden he was like, you're not safe. That feels Scientology-ish to me, of like they're gonna come after me, which means they're gonna come after you. Maybe
I had
like
not thought of that. That Scientology angle is a good point.
Because maybe he's not talking to them because he was telling the truth and they would all be in danger if he reached out. Or maybe, he became a full-blown Scientologist and had to write off his family anyway. So
yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. There is one theory on Reddit that actually kind of aligns with that, or is similar, without the Scientology aspect. And this was written by a user. Oh, it's not from Reddit. Sorry, it's from Web Sleuths. And it was written by a user named Joey STA, who says, is there any possible motive? If I remember correctly, he stated he had not removed his Facebook account, someone else did, which would take some computer skill. Though I know very little about Charles/Neo, I do know he was a top Half-Life player for a couple years around 2001 and 2002. Then I read the European, maybe German teams took over, which might have left some resentment in Neo. In 2003, Axel Greb, I assume this is a German person, named, or Ago, nickname AGO, hacked into the Half-Life's company files to leak the beta version of Half-Life 2. The owner asked the Half-Life community for help finding the culprit, and the community helped, and Axel was caught, and the owner thanked the community for helping track down the person who had hacked the system. And then somebody said, and the same guy says, does anyone know if Neo assisted or played a role in identifying Axel as the one who had hacked the system?
And then it would have been revenge on Neo.
Yes. And he says, with Neo's skills, it's quite possible. And if he did, this may have caused some resentment, which gave me the creeps, because I was like, with that back context, it's kind of creepy. Like,
yeah. Well, that's why I also thought maybe Darknet or something, just because he was a gamer and so involved in digital worlds, then like maybe he also was like looking up some other stuff. I mean, I feel like the dark web is a good place to look up like I mean, I'm not saying he didn't have integrity with his gaming, but maybe he was looking up cheats or something with his game and just kind of stumbled into the wrong people or something.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a lot darker shit happening than anybody really knew on the surface. Like the fact that this user was like, oh, there was this whole like crime thing happening behind the scenes during the time that, he was involved with gaming. And apparently Axel came off probation not long before Neo's disappearance. So he
Ooh.
had gone to jail. This was like a very serious
Yeah.
accusation and crime that he was convicted of. And has amazing computer skills for obvious reasons. And now this part is like very circumstantial, but also very creepy to me. The user says, I wonder if the AG in AGO are not only the first letters of his first and last names, but also stand for the element silver in the periodic table.
Yeah, we totally didn't even pay attention to the periodic table this whole time.
His name was, Ago. What was his
AG for silver.
AGO, yeah. Anyway, just freaky stuff. So who knows? It seems like a stretch because like, why would you say that? But
did you ever see any other rumors like that involved the periodic table?
no, that's all I saw about that. About the
how weird
periodic table.
How weird is that for like, unless you and I specifically had an inside joke about the periodic table, and then all of a sudden I'm like acting really frenetic and I'm like, the clues are in the periodic table.
Yes.
You better be like, what the fuck do you expect me to do in a periodic table?
M doesn't know what I'd be like, neither of us know what a fucking periodic table.
I'm telling you now, if you were to imply something about the periodic table to me, I would expect that you're talking about like plutonium from Back to the Future or like that. Other than that, I'm like, I've got fucking nothing.
The
my
tannins
friend.
in wine or something. Yeah. I feel like oh my god, I forgot what I was even about to say. Oh yeah, that would be like if you said something like, oh, the clues in the angles of the geometry.
Yeah,
rhombus.
I'd be like,
what the fuck?
I'd be like, get back on the phone real quick, because like you expect me to know what to do with that?
Not
like,
enough information.
Yeah,
I can read your mind to a certain extent, but like math and that's just too far. So it's really
honestly, if I were about to like, what if I thought I was on the run and I had to leave you with a notion like the clues are on the periodic table, I would hang up and be like, Christine's never gonna figure it out. I mean,
like I'm done. Goodbye.
I'd be like, why did I even waste my breath trying to give her a clue like that? It's so stupid.
No, completely right. And so, maybe that's what it referred to. It seems again like a stretch because like why would his sister know that? Or like this person wasn't even, as far as I know, relevant to the family at all. So just really odd. And you'd think you'd say it more clearly, like, oh, it's some German guy that I emailed. I don't know, or
like leave a note under your bed or something for someone to find,
right? But so it's really strange. So some people think maybe it was a Half-Life related murder. Some people think maybe he did go off to play tennis somewhere under a different name, and he really is just some accomplished tennis player somewhere. And I'm gonna give a little like just summary of who he is, what he looks like, just for everybody to keep an eye out. So Neo/Charles, he was known by Charlie by his friends and family, has been missing since October 13th, 2007 from Dartmouth, Massachusetts. He was 22 at the time of his disappearance, and he would be 36 years old today. He's a Caucasian male with light brown hair and brown eyes, around 5'11" or 6 foot tall, weighing between 175 to 190 pounds. He was last seen wearing black sweatpants with a red stripe down the side and a white 2007 US Open t-shirt that he always wore. He wears glasses. He wore his haircut very short. Everyone who knew him called him Charlie. He may have been seen approaching a truck driver on Route 6 in Dartmouth shortly after his disappearance. So some theorize that he hitched a ride and left New England. If you have any information, you can share it with please share it with the Dartmouth Police Department at 508-910-1775. And that's a story of Charles Allen Jr. or Neo Babson Maximus. And for whatever reason, this story, like, I just have a gut feeling that he's still alive. I don't know why, and I don't feel like it's maybe right to say, because I feel like, who am I to say that? But I just have a strange gut feeling like maybe this can be solved.
Maybe his partner listens to our show. If you are dating somebody and you are unsure of their past, maybe they are this person.
Honestly, something like that would be just great for the family. Like that's what the private investigator said. Like he might have died by suicide, but he said like the greatest thing ever would be like if he just showed up one day and was like, I've been gone and now I'm back, and like that would just be or even if they can get closure, because the sister again said something like, you know, how can I grieve something that I don't even know whether it happened? So I feel like even just an
Wow.
element of closure to solve the case would be a huge deal. So if you do have any inkling of a thought or a red flag or anything, it's worth checking. You never know. This is how crimes get solved, is just people have a hunch or people act on something weird, and who knows? So
Oof. And that was also such a good one because there were so many, like, I don't even know how to keep up with all the weird little behaviors, like
yeah.
the periodic table, the looking for Mason in a place where you know he isn't,
Yeah, the Scientology,
the
like so
Scientology,
odd.
the Facebook thing, all of it. It's like I don't even know where to start on that.
And the
Like,
fact, like, if you I would recommend watching the episode to anybody who has Discovery Plus. If not, go check it out. But they interview the family, and it's I don't know, it gave a whole new perspective when you hear the mom saying, I had lunch with him 2 days earlier, I saw him several times a month, like he
mm,
was not off, he was not acting weird. She's like,
yeah,
I know when he's acting weird, I know when he's approaching a manic episode, I know when he's, you know, kind of feeling
it could it
unwell.
have been, I don't know enough about mental illness, but could it have been an underlying thing that hadn't even realized,
Perhaps,
like,
you know,
that was
perhaps,
showing up?
right. I have no clue. So it's really interesting to like hear a perspective of an investigator saying, you know, I believe it had to do with his mental illness, and then his family saying like, we would have known if something was off. Like it's just
Yeah.
really interesting to hear all this perspective. So, you know, who knows, but I just really, that would be great to figure that out.
Whew, wow. That's a great story,
This
Christine.
is a
You nailed
wild
it.
episode today. I don't know
This
why,
was
but
a this was a lengthy a lengthy story.
it was, and
Lengthy
my notes
episode.
were like 2/3 the length of normal. So I don't know.
Mine
That
too. I
was,
thought for sure this was going to be like a zip zap zoop, and apparently it was.
it was
We
gonna be a
just
skip and a hop and a beep boop bop, and
we.
no, we're still here.
It really. I think we both saw it was short, and therefore we thought we
That's
could like
exactly,
get
it happens.
chatty.
It happens every time. We're like, don't worry, this will be quick. Like, what the
Yep.
fuck are we thinking? Never.
No. Nope. 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 Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And for those of you, we don't know how it turned out yet, but if you're listening on Sunday when this comes out, yesterday was our auction, our
Charity
poetry
auction.
slam.
Oh, it's gonna be so fun. You
So
can
we
still
don't
watch
know.
it.
You can still watch it. We don't know how it went because we are in the past currently, but I'm sure it's going to go great, and we're very excited. Thank you to everyone who is about to come / did come, and yeah, we
And if
will
you
let you
missed it,
know.
you can watch it on demand. So go check it out. The link will still be up, I'm sure, in our social media. Um,
And we
and
will let you know about
yeah.
future live show episodes. We are working on our tour right now, which
Oh,
is super exciting.
finally.
And it please come, please God, because we worked so hard
Can
on
you
this show
imagine we
like
show
two
up?
fucking years ago. So if you could just like humor us, it'd be excellente. Thank you
Oh
so much.
fuck. We'll try so hard to entertain you. There will be booze, please, please. I don't know what I'll do. I'll show my baby. What did you say? I'm like sing,
Oh,
put
I was
the
saying
Lion King.
I was saying, like, yeah, when we go to Cincinnati, Christine will like hold her baby like the Lion King on stage,
Yeah,
and
it'll be a whole production. Okay, don't worry. We're here
we'll
to
do
entertain
whatever it
you.
takes. We'll do whatever it takes.
I'll turn my
Uh,
child into
a
a
little
spectacle.
lion. Okay, and
That's
why
we
drink?